You're welcome. Thank you for indulging me on that. I now call this regular meeting of the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees to order. The time is now 6:02 p.m. Mrs. Guy, was the meeting properly posted?
Yes, it was.
And do we have a quorum?
We do.
Thank you so much. Before we get started, I am going to pull from the agenda item number 8 and 9 from the agenda for further consideration at a future meeting. And with that, Dr. O'Brien, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, Ms. Karen Thomas will begin our meeting this evening for administration.
Good evening, President Campisi, school board members, Dr. O'Brien. We will begin the June 2nd board meeting with the prayer led by Helen Barat-Timms and the pledges led by Mercedes Renneria. Would everyone please rise?
Thank you. Would you please bow your heads with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for your faithfulness and provision in our lives. We thank you for each person in this meeting tonight. And we thank you for the opportunity to gather together and work toward a common goal. In everything we do, we give thanks to you. And as we pray and continue forward, may our hearts be filled with gratitude as we start this meeting, and may it guide us through. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, this evening we'll begin our recognition and acknowledgements with Anna Espinosa, the director of our GCCISD Education Foundation. Please welcome her to the podium for an acknowledgement.
Good evening, President Campisi, Board of Trustee members, and Dr. O'Brien. On behalf of the Goose Creek CISD Education Foundation Board of Directors and donors, I have two very special donations to recognize this evening. Our first donation is a designated grant from our long-standing partner, ExxonMobil. As you know, ExxonMobil has a history of being one of our most generous donors, and tonight is no exception. Representing ExxonMobil this evening is Ms. Connie Tilton from their Public and Government Affairs team. We appreciate everything Connie does to advocate for GCCISD, and tonight she and I are pleased to announce the donation of $51,000 for the following departments or programs. Partners in Education, $15,000, Math Counts, $1,000, K-12 Science Department, $30,000, and the Robotics Program, $5,000. I'd like to ask Connie and any of our other Education Foundation Board of Directors to come up for a photo. All right.
Matt Flood.
The Education Foundation's mission is to partner with the community to provide resources to enrich teaching, inspire learning, and provide opportunities for excellence in education for all students in the Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District. Since its inception, the top priority for the Education Foundation is to put funding directly back into the classrooms through our innovative teaching grant program. This year, we had 145 applications submitted across the district, which were read and scored by board of directors who serve on our programs committee. From those applications, we are thrilled to award 49 grants, 44 of those being from this year's grant cycle, as well as 5 mini grants from the 23-24 cycle that were purchased by businesses and individuals at our gala fundraiser in November. We are honored to stand here tonight and present the 2025-2026 Innovative Teaching Grant donation to Goose Creek CISD in the amount of $195,844.85.
Want your speech? All right. We'll move on to our recognitions this evening, and first we want to welcome Faith Longoria, Associate Director for Social Studies, to recognize students receiving recognition at the Texas History Day competition, and then she'll be followed by Dr. Norma Martinez, Director for Secondary C&I, who will recognize our UIL academic winners.
Sorry, there's a large crowd of people outside. Good evening, school board. Thank you so much, you and Dr. O'Brien, for this opportunity to represent our Goose Creek kids who competed this year. National History Day is a 35-year tradition that we have been competing at the state and national level. Quite a long list of accolades that have gone with that. This project is completed in all social studies honors classes at the junior high and high school level. At the regional contest, we have between 200 and 400 students every year who compete, and then the first and second place winners at every category level will go on to compete at the next level. So we're going to go through the students who competed at state, some of our winners, and then next week I have 13 students that we are taking to the National History Day contest. So starting with the students who competed at Texas History Day, junior group performance, Melanie Blakesley and Natalie Blakesley with a project entitled Medical Malpractice, the History of Suing Doctors. They are students at E.F. Green Junior School, and their sponsors are Addison Ramsey and Josh Anderson. Junior group website, Joseph Mendoza and Jesus Reyes, and we're going to take a picture outside afterwards. Their project is entitled Guide Dogs, Bridging the Gap Between Independence and Support for the Blind. They attend Highlands Junior School, and their sponsor is Emily Ibarra. Huh? Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture. Junior individual exhibit, Isaac Graham, with his project, The Right to Serve, the Integration of the United States Military. He attends Gentry Junior School, and his sponsor is John Heffernan. Senior historical paper, Frederick De La Rosa, with his project titled The Lemon Grove Incident, How a School Board Failed in Its Responsibility to Support Educational Rights. He attends Sterling High School, and his sponsor was Shauna Bernhausen. Senior group documentary, Yari Okindo and Alexis Ibarra, with their project Children's Rights and Adults' Responsibilities. They are students at Sterling High School, and their sponsor is Roxalyn Anson. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Senior group documentary, Lily Wynn and Advita Shinde, with the project The Texas City Tragedy, A Cautionary Tale. They attend Impact Early College High School, and their sponsor is Elijah Milanovanovic. Senior individual website, Arya Patel, with the project Right to Protest, Governmental Responsibilities, the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests. He attends Goose Creek Memorial High School, and his sponsor is Stephanie Schrull. Senior individual exhibit, Elise Sanchez, with the project Board v. Board of Education and the Denigration of the Public School System. She attends Sterling High School, and her sponsor is Roxalyn Anson. Thank you. Senior group exhibit, Emily Escato and Raylan Crianza, with the project The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. They attend Goose Creek Memorial High School, and their sponsor is Stephanie Schrull. Senior group exhibit, Axel Moreno, Destiny Ramos, Carson Purcell, and Mateo Ortegan. Title, Protecting Childhood, the National Child Labor Committee's Fight Against Child Labor. They attend Goose Creek Memorial High School, and their sponsor is April Vogel. Okay. The next group of students that I'm going to announce all were in the promoted to the finals round of state. They didn't make finals, but that means that they were in the top 10 of the state, but they did not rank. Junior group documentary, Colin Pinkerton and Kinsey Pinkerton, with their project entitled The Pinkertons, how the expansion of their rights and responsibilities backfired on the first private eyes. They attend Gentry Junior School, and their sponsor is Sarah Caposteni. Junior individual exhibit, Ava Flood, with her project Redefining Service Rights, Responsibilities, and the Women's Armed Services Integration Act. She attended Cedar Bayou Junior School, and her sponsor was Matt Flood. Senior individual documentary, Ananya Sood, with the project Consumers' Rights and the Titans' Responsibility, Standard Oil versus the United States. She attends Goose Creek Memorial High School, and her sponsor is Stephanie Schrull. At state, placing third in junior individual website is Anay Gupta, with the project Breaking the Trust, the Struggle Between Rights and Responsibilities at Watergate. He attended E.F. Green Junior School, and his sponsor was Claude Garrison. A bunch of these kids up. We got a bunch of 8th graders. Okay. The following students, and we have almost all of the 13 are here, are going to be competing next week at National History Day, and I'm very excited. We have students competing in all 5 categories, junior high and high school. It's going to be an exciting trip for our kids. First place at state in junior group exhibit for the 3rd year in a row. Annalie Ramirez, Gabriel Ramirez, Jonathan Lewis, and Yashvir Singh Gill with their project Set the Earth on Fire, Mining for Rights, Responsibilities, and Equality during the Erythrocite coal strike. They attended E.F. Green Junior School, and their sponsor was Clay Garrison, Isaac Orozco, and Addison Ramsey. They are eighth grade, just finished their eighth grade year. They placed sixth in the nation as sixth graders. They placed fifth in the nation as seventh graders, and I have high hopes for them this year. They have a really interesting project. First place at state in junior historical paper, which means he is going to be published by the Texas State Historical Association, Medavendra Chowan, with project entitled The Montgomery Bus Boycott, Empowering Rights, Embracing Responsibilities, and a Journey Towards Equality, Justice, and Social Change for All. He attended E.F. Green Junior School. His sponsor was Clay Garrison. And at state, he also received the Colonial Dames Award, which is for historical papers dealing with the impact of innovative ideas embodied in the U.S. Declaration of Independence or Constitution. Okay. First place, junior individual performance, Caleb Keeling, with his project titled Franklin on the Origins of the Fourth. He attends Gentry Junior School, and his sponsor was Patricia Othman. First place, junior individual documentary, Brinkley Benoit, with her project titled The Great Idea, Speaking for Those Who Cannot Speak for Themselves. She attends Cedar Bayou Junior School. Her sponsor is Adam Clements, and she won the Outstanding Regional Project Award for the junior division at state. And second place in junior individual exhibit, so we took first and second place in this category at state, is Reagan Benoit. Her project entitled Racing Out on the Orphan Trains, Balancing Rights and Responsibilities in an Early Child Welfare Program. She attends Cedar Bayou Junior School, and her sponsor was Joanne Bell. And also our second place group in junior group exhibit, so we took first and second in junior group exhibit as well, is Austin Thomas, David Oriano, and Jack Patine with their project entitled Exxon Valdez, Navigating the Tides Between Rights and Responsibilities. They attend Baytown Junior School, and their sponsor was Seth Tunick. Great announcement for these guys on Wednesday of next week. They are part of the U.S. History Smithsonian Showcase. They are the only Texas project that will be showcased at the Smithsonian. And these boys placed 9th in the nation last year, so I have hopes that they will place again as well. Second place, senior individual, she's not here. Second place, senior individual website, Sadvi Kaura, with her project Ethics on Trial, The Controversy of the Willowbrook Hepatitis Study. She attends Goose Creek Memorial High School, and her sponsor is Stephanie Schrahl. And parents, we're going to take a group picture outside if you want to come and get a copy of that as well. So, thank you very much for the opportunity to represent these outstanding students. They start this project in August, and for these kids, that means they have literally worked on it the entire school year. So they've done an outstanding job.
Well, don't go anywhere yet, friends. Good evening, President Campisi, Dr. O'Brien, and board members. The Secondary C&I Department is proud to recognize Joseph Kopecki, a 2025 GCM graduate, for his outstanding achievement in the 2025 UIL State Accounting Competition. Joseph placed 7th in the state, demonstrating exceptional skill and dedication in a rigorous academic field. We also commend his coach. I know he's here, but he might be lost in the outside. We also commend his coach, Charmaine Brooks, and Principal Kelly Start at GCM for their guidance and commitment to excellence in preparing students for academic success. They're right here. I'm sorry. Joseph. So please help me in recognizing and congratulating Joseph, Miss Brooks, and Miss Start on this remarkable accomplishment. We're going to get him inside. All right, now we get the opportunity to recognize some of our award-winning campuses. So Amanda Kennington is here. She's our coordinator for Healthy Community Schools to recognize winners of the SHAC Whole Child Wellness Award.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. The GCCISD School Health Advisory Council officers, Mr. David Reed and Ms. Ashley Cox, and I are honored to recognize campus school health advisory committees for the key role that they play in advancing the health and well-being of students, staff, and families. The Whole Child Wellness Award applications outline the criteria that are required for each award level from bronze to platinum based on 10 school health focus areas. 18 campus committees led by champions successfully submitted evidence implementing strategies that were outlined in the district's wellness plan. Key factors contributed to the success of the award recipients and includes things like the support and commitment by campus administrators, a school health team that meets regularly, promotion and effective communication for school health initiatives and resources, participation in regular assessments of implementation to monitor progress, engagement with family and the community. Committees earn bonus points for integrating school health strategies into the school improvement action plans, providing evidence of professional growth, incorporating healthy fundraising options, and integrating sun safety practices into the school environment. The 2025 Whole Child Wellness Award is supported by Be Well Baytown. Be Well Baytown is an initiative of the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center sponsored by ExxonMobil. Each gold level campus will receive $350 to use towards campus coordinated school health initiatives, and each platinum level campus will receive $500. At this time, we ask the campus committee representatives to come forward when you hear your names to take a photo.
Alrighty, the first campus is going to be Alamo Elementary, Principal Aaron Clement, and champion Amanda Lucas. Alrighty, our second campus to be recognized is going to be Austin Elementary. The principal is Amy Henderson, and the champion is Delilah Carrillo. Our third campus to be recognized is going to be Crockett Elementary. Principal Talis Aniwan and Amy Adams is their champion. Our fourth campus to be recognized is going to be Dezavala Elementary. Principal Leah Abbott, sorry. And the campus champion is Sharon Parker. All right, our fifth campus to be recognized is E.F. Green Jr., Principal Alicia Babin, and campus champion is Carla Arellano. Our sixth campus to be recognized is going to be Travis Elementary, Principal Carrie Luanis and Angela Dunson. Yes, ma'am. All righty, our seventh campus to be recognized is going to be Victoria Walker Elementary, Principal Paige Burt, and campus champion Brent Guidry.
Ten campuses earned a platinum level Whole Child Wellness Award. First up is Asheville Smith Elementary, Principal Lacey Gordon and champion Cynthia Martinez. Next up is Banuelos Elementary, Principal Erica Box and champions Justin Capetillo. Next we have Bowie Elementary, Principal Damon McLemore and champion Tyann Ramos and counselor Georgina Holum. Next up is Carver Elementary, Principal Erica Smith and champion Michelle Hayes. Next up is Clark Elementary, Principal Kimberly Scheit and champion Joe McGrew. Next we have Harlem Elementary, Principal Betty Baca and champion Sherry Young. Next we have Highlands Elementary, Principal Blanca Capetillo and champion Joel Coons. Next is Impact Early College, Principal Laura Reyes and Champion Myra White. Next is Pumphrey Elementary, Principal Renee Meyer and Champion Jennifer Starr. Next is San Jacinto Elementary, Principal Luis Munoz and Champion Kristen Reyes with support from Campus Student Success Specialist Sarah Serrano. Thank you. We would like to thank you all for your support. All right, we have one more special recognition this evening, and so I'll turn it back over to Dr. O'Brien.
Yes, one of the blessings that I have as superintendent of schools, I get to serve alongside our board of trustees. And sitting next to someone for a year, you get to know them a little bit better. But I wanted to share just a few things about our immediate past president with you before we provide her with her gavel that she can take home and hit as much as she wants. I'd like to inform our audience that Ms. Helen Barat-Timms became board member in 2021 and served as president in 24-25. She's part of the 2022 honor board by the Texas Association of School Administrators. She's born in Baytown and a product of Goose Creek CISD, Lee College, and Prairie View A&M. She went to Harlem Elementary, Highlands Junior, and Ross S. Sterling High School. She is retired from Harris County Precinct 2 after dedicating more than 30 years to a career in public service, working in leadership with communities and families. Outside of the GCCISD School Board, she served on the Baytown Opportunities Center Board, the Bay Area Rehabilitation Center Board, the Juvenile Probation and Children Assessment Center Advisory Council, and Girl and Boy Scouts. She's married to Richard Timms and is the mother of Courtney, Bianca, Brandon, Terrence, and Heaven. Her greatest joy is being called Nana by her grandchildren, calling them, and she calls them her grand hearts. Ms. Helen Barat-Timms, on behalf of my colleagues, the Board of Trustees, and our entire community, we'd like to say thank you for your year of service as president of Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees.
All right, we'd like to wish congratulations to all of our award-winning students in schools, and a special thank you to Ms. Barat-Timms for her dedication and time to our school district. At this time, I'll turn the board meeting back over to President Campisi.
Thank you very much. That was a good initiation for a new president, Ms. Brought-Timms. You didn't tell me taking pictures was that difficult.
Your cheeks start hurting.
They do. Okay, so we'll move on to number 4 on the agenda, which is citizens' participation. Citizens' participation is the time that the board will hear public concerns or public comments from those who have properly signed up to address the board. At regular board meetings, the board shall permit public comment regardless of whether the topic is an item on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. General public comment is limited to no more than 30 minutes per meeting. At all other board meetings, public comment shall be limited to open session items on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. Each speaker is reminded that he or she is limited in his or her presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes, which can further be limited or reduced by the presiding officer, and that he or she should respect the confidentiality concerns and refrain from attacking the personal character of any individual, student, staff member, or board member in addressing concerns or comments. Pursuant to state law and board policy be illegal, the board cannot consider or take action on concerns at this meeting unless they pertain to an item on the posted agenda for this meeting. Any deliberation or decision on an item that is not posted for consideration at this meeting shall be limited to a proposal to place the subject on the agenda of a future meeting. We have 4 people signed up to speak today. Mrs. Guy, will you take time and give everyone 3 minutes? When you approach the podium, if you would, please state your name and the topic you're speaking on, and your time will start once you begin speaking. Our first speaker is Paul Wankowitz and Don Coffey.
Good evening, Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees. My name is Paul Wankowitz. I'm speaking on behalf of the Rotary Club of Baytown. I'm also the president nominee for the club as well. I'm here representing the club, and what we're going to do is we're going to present to the board that the Goose Creek CISD Professional Development and Event Center, which currently does not have a formal name, be named after Dr. Randy O'Brien. Okay, I have a letter here in support of that as well from many of our members, which I'd like to read as well. To the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees, as superintendent, Dr. O'Brien is led with integrity, vision, and a strong belief in the potential of every student and educator. His leadership has not only guided the district through growth and transformation, but has also fostered a culture of excellence across our school and throughout Baytown. Dr. O'Brien's commitment to service extends far beyond the school district. As a member of the Rotary Club of Baytown, he lives with the motto, service above self, in everything he does. Each year, he, alongside with Goose Creek CISD, has supported our club's annual Shrimp and Catfish Festival in meaningful and generous ways, whether through resources, encouragement, or helping to ensure the success behind the scenes. And for the past several years, our Catfish and Catfish Festival has raised tens of thousands of dollars, which we have been able to give back to the community. This year, Dr. O'Brien went a step further by offering the use of the Professional Development and Event Center as the venue for our 2026 event, an act of partnership that speaks volumes about his dedication to Rotary and the Baytown community. In recognition of Dr. O'Brien's legacy and leadership, service, and community partnership, we respectfully ask that the board consider naming the Professional Development and Event Center in his honor. Such a tribute would be a meaningful and lasting acknowledgement of his impact and a way to honor his years of visionary leadership, to remind future generations the power of servant leadership.
1 minute remaining. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Yes. This dedication would honor the value of Dr. O'Brien as modeled through his career and service, as a reminder to the future leader of power of education, service, and community partnership. We thank you for consideration, for our continued commitment to service the students and families of GCCISD. The Rotary Club of Baytown stands ready to support this request, remains proud partner in serving our community. I do have a few of us here today, Judge Coffey, and also his wife, Janice, and others too that are in support, Gilbert Santana, David Smith, Jade Cox, Lauren Hefferman, Calvin Mundinger, Dr. Thomas Kelchner, Jim Ferris, who was also here, Eldancy Robinson, David Despat, Daryl Fontenot, who is also here, Rod McDougall, Sheila Crawford, myself, Paul Wankowitz, Doug Walker, and Sonia Cather as well. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wankowitz. Your time was perfect. Our next speaker is Janice Coffey.
Good evening. I'm here to speak about the facility naming of the Professional Development and Event Center. Good evening, Dr. O'Brien and board members. I'm Janice Coffey. I taught school in this district for 27 years and served on the school board for 8 years. With 35 years of experience with a variety of well-respected superintendents, including Johnny Clark, Jerry Roy, Toby York, and Randy O'Brien, one of our longest-serving superintendents, who has served fewer years than only George Gentry and Johnny Clark. I can say that Dr. O'Brien is a leader who always has the best interest of the school district in every decision he makes. As you know, he led the district through the difficult years of the coronavirus pandemic and has initiated a variety of innovative programs, all while adapting to the constant fluctuations in budgeting support from the state legislature. During his tenure, the district has completed construction of several new auxiliary facilities, including the Transportation, Technology, and Robotics Centers, established seven career academies, and opened new campuses, including Impact Early College High School, Sheila C. Lyles Early Learning Academy, Jesse Lee Pumphrey Elementary School, the newly designed San Jacinto Elementary School, E.F. Green Junior School, Stewart Career Tech High School, and the Stallworth Stadium Fieldhouse. Dr. O'Brien became our district's 15th superintendent in 2014 after joining the district as deputy superintendent in 2013. He has been recognized as Superintendent of the Year in both Region 12 and our Region 4. He was also honored as a 2024 Sam Houston State University Distinguished Educator of the Year, an award recognizing and honoring alumni educators who have made a significant contribution to the field of education. As a team of 8, I know that you have experienced Randy O'Brien's professionalism and efforts to meet every need of the students and employees of this district while heeding the desires of the taxpayers and working to listen to each one of you. In seeking an appropriate honor for his years of excellent leadership in our district, and in seeking a well-respected citizen in our district for whom you should name the new Professional Development and Event Center, I believe the most obvious choice you can make is Dr. Randall O'Brien, and I strongly encourage you to name the new facility after him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Coffey. Our next speaker is Martin Lamond.
Good evening to all the board members of Goose Creek ISD. I am Martin Lamond, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Howard Sampson on naming the newly constructed field house at Stallworth Stadium to be named in his honor. Howard is an individual who has always put others first. His 16 years of service to Goose Creek ISD Board is firsthand evidence of his desires to communicate how important education is to future generations. He has coached on all levels, Little League to college level athletics. He's inspired many of us as teammates, friend, mentor, community leader, and also as a devoted brother in Christ, who has always been a true inspiration to those who have gotten to know the person. There's no doubt among family, friends, and acquaintances, by having the name of Howard Sampson permanently etched on the new field house will forever be a reminder of how hard work, self-motivation, and dedication will be rewarded. Howard has always been Baytown proud. And always been a great ambassador for all Baytonians. It's my honor and pleasure to nominate Howard Sampson for this honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamond. Our final speaker is Warren Singleton.
My name is Warren Singleton. I'm a local historian and the founder and president of the Baytown Carver High School Recognition and Preservation Society, of which I am representing today. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Howard Sampson, wanting his name to be etched on the new field house. Mr. Sampson I've known for a long time. He was an outstanding athlete, three-sport athlete, Sterling High School, football, basketball, track and field, but he excelled in football where he was one, if not the best, one of the best defensive backs in the state of Texas. He went on to earn a 4-year scholarship, full ride, at the University of Arkansas, where he excelled on that level also. He was the captain of the defensive team and received other honors. He was drafted by the Green Bay Packers and played as a defensive back and on the specialty team. And after his football career was over with, he was a coach, a collegiate coach at several colleges. And also, he has the honor of being one of the people that have played as an athlete in 4 bowl games and coached in 2 bowl games. That's an honor. There's not very many people that can do that. Also, Mr. Sampson is a pillar of Baytown. He came back to Baytown and worked for Harris County Precinct 2 for 32 years. He was appointed to the board, school board here, and then he was elected and then re-elected. He has served 16 years on his board.
1 minute.
I remember sitting down talking to Mr. Sampson to see what's in his head, and he mentioned then, and he's still saying today, the number one thing that he wanted to do was do for the kids, and he's still doing that. So I recommend that this building be named after Mr. Sampson. I think it would be a good idea to have someone that is from Baytown, has his roots here, has done well for the community, has served the community for a long time, to have his name on that building. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Singleton, and that concludes public comment. Dr. O'Brien, I'll turn it over to you for superintendent's reports.
Thank you. Yes, sir. This evening, the administration brings before the Board of Trustees for consideration the superintendent's reports. The first report will be the School Health Advisory Council, SHAC, annual report for the year 24-25. I want to thank my fellow Rotarians for showing up here tonight. Thank y'all. Appreciate you so much. While we're waiting to get set up, we also want to thank the speakers for Mr. Sampson as well on his behalf. Thank you. Ms. Kennington, we're going to let you allow the members of your panel to introduce themselves as we go along. Typically, when we have a technological moment, we allow the visitors, the community members, to either sing or dance. David, Ms. Cox.
It's fine.
Okay, fortunately for y'all, I think our technology's coming online.
Show us what you got.
Oh, there it is. Okay, great.
All right. Good evening, President Campese, members of the board, and Dr. O'Brien. My name is Amanda Kennington, the coordinator of Healthy Community Schools. I serve as the co-chair along with Mr. David Reed, a parent from GCM High School. Members of the SHAC Executive Committee are here tonight to summarize the annual progress and share highlights from the 2024-2025 School Health Advisory Council Board Report. You can find the full report of all the SHAC activities on the SHAC Board Report official letter that you have in front of you, and that will be posted on the SHAC website. Before we start our presentation, we'd like any School Health Advisory Council members in attendance tonight to please stand and be recognized. Ms. Caldwell, Dr. Time.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for your commitment working toward achieving the GCCISD wellness policy goals and school health initiatives, and special thank you to Kendall David for being our executive committee leader liaison for the SHAC. We appreciate you as well. Every independent school district is required by state law to establish a School Health Advisory Council, or SHAC. A primary goal of the SHAC is to assist the district in ensuring that the local community values are reflected in the district's health instruction. The members act in an advisory capacity to the Board of Trustees regarding coordinated school health programming and its impact on student health and learning. The SHAC functions in compliance according to Texas Education Code 28.004.
The GCCISD Board of Trustees approved and appointed 45 members to the Volunteer Advisory Council. This year, SHAC was composed of 28 parents, 11 campus staff, 9 district staff, and 3 community organizations. I'm currently serving my 3rd term as the SHAC parent chair, and happy to highlight that 27 members, or 60% of the SHAC, were returning members. Participating in the SHAC is a wonderful way to collaborate with the school district and community organizations or agencies to increase parental awareness and available community programs and services. This group of individuals provide invaluable advice to the district on methods to advance student academic performance by promoting, practicing, and coordinating school health, education, and services. GCCISD hosted 4 general SHAC meetings. To read more about these items, please review the SHAC board reports, meeting minutes, or audio recordings, which are posted on GCCISD's SHAC website. The SHAC is divided into 4 standing subcommittees to address health issues that we may see in our school-age children. 12 subcommittee meetings were hosted this year to ensure that all members were engaged in their efforts. I'm going to turn it over to SHAC's secretary to share some celebrations. Ashley?
Hi, my name is Ashley Cox, and I have served as a parent member for the past 4 years and have witnessed how important it is that the home, school, and community interact to contribute to each child's success. The SHAC collaborates with various district departments, campus health advisory committees, and community partners to implement coordinated school health programming. As you witnessed earlier this evening, many of our schools were recognized for their whole child wellness efforts locally. Our school district has been recognized on a national level with 14 of our schools on the Alliance for Healthier Generations America's Healthiest Schools list. As a community, we earned 2nd in the state for the Healthier Texas Community Challenge by uniting together to support health. 100% of our GCCISD campuses completed healthy school assessments this year. The SHAC successfully conducted an annual wellness policy and plan review and have seen a 73% growth overall in meeting our wellness goals collectively from 2024 to 2025. The CATCH program is sustaining successful implementation of nutrition education, nutrition promotion, physical education, staff wellness, and family engagement initiatives. But wait, there's more. Let's hear from some of our district leaders. Amanda?
So I'd like to highlight that the district successfully hosted a family wellness festival this year, achieving its goal of providing health education and wellness resources community-wide. The event engages and empowers students, families, staff, and community to promote healthy habits, made possible through strong staff collaboration and community support. The Health Education, PE, Physical Activity, and Fitness Subcommittee learned that the district leveraged resources this year to paint concrete areas with activity zones at Bowie, Crockett, and Highlands Elementary. PE teachers volunteers participated in training cohort to increase the capacity of our CATCH implementation and support for active recess. The cohort also promotes physical activity throughout the school day, and we did host 9 walk-to-school events this year, engaging families in active transportation. The district advanced sun safety by installing shade structures at Harlem, Bowie, and Benuelos Elementary, with Clark, De Zavala, and Asheville Smith selected for installations this year. 6 sunscreen dispensers are maintained at 3 high schools for athletics and band students. Sun safety education was provided to grounds and summer nutrition staff, and 45 trees were planted at Benuelos in partnership with United Way's MLK Day of Service. The SHAC Health Education Subcommittee explored innovative ways to integrate comprehensive physical, emotional, and nutritional health education, including abstinence, substance abuse prevention, and suicide awareness into classrooms. The goal is to deliver a holistic and engaging wellness program using existing instructional time efficiently. Let's take a moment to hear from a few of our different committees. Natalie Edwards, Nutrition Services Director, leads our nutrition subcommittee.
Good evening. This year, the Nutrition Services Subcommittee had the opportunity to visit 3 campuses and observe lunch routines. Members also participated in food tasting and provided input on menus. In addition to educational opportunities, nutrition promotion can be found on campus cafeteria walls, on bulletin boards, plasma screens, social media, on the district website, at family nights, and via home snacking challenges and contests. At Least High School, we created a campaign to encourage second chance breakfast for students hungry after the first period of the school day. The program provides students with a quick and easy option for breakfast to fuel their day of learning.
Before we move on, can you go back, Ms. Kennington? I just want to point out the kids in the middle picture on the bottom participated. Would you share, Ms. Natalie?
Oh, okay, right.
Would you share what that is?
Yes. So we had a culinary competition for our 4th and 5th graders, Francesca's Friends. So they, each campus could participate, and we had a winner. Those are our winners from our elementary campuses, and they got to showcase their winning dishes before the board meeting. And the top prize was your dinner that night, and it was in late February. So that's our little junior show.
The reason why I thought it was important to pause just for a moment and let you share that story about who those kids are is because I was approached this year by a senior who was a 5th grade champion culinary chef who then enrolled at Stewart Career Tech High School and graduated this year with level 3 certifications in culinary arts. His name is Eric Gonzalez, and he played the national anthem on guitar at graduation. So these kids, they listen and they pay attention, and when you provide pathways, they latch on. We just don't always know when, but this student walked up to me and let me know that he was a 5th grade culinary champion. So I wanted to commend you on having that program.
Well, thank you, thank you. So right now, we're right in the middle of summer feeding, and actually, Dr. Price can attest, it started out with a bang. We had a cookout at Sterling Library, and we fed just under 200 kids. The line extended. We never fed that many kids out there. So it was very busy. So we wanted to try something different this year. We normally have cookouts, but we wanted to promote it more and hand out the flyers so people can know all around where they were. And I think that is very helpful for just letting them know all the parks and the serving times and breakfast and lunch. Next year, Goose Creek will have the opportunity to participate in the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, where we'll be able to give students a fresh fruit or vegetable during the school day, aside from breakfast and lunch, and they'll learn about the nutritional benefits of whatever fruit or veggie we're serving for that day. Additionally, in response to federal guidelines, the USDA has announced more significant changes to sodium and added sugar standards beginning this upcoming school year. So we're currently working on menus to meet those goals. And we appreciate all the SHAC volunteers that put their input in our Nutrition Services Subcommittee. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Pena.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Pena. I serve as the Health Services Coordinator for Goose Creek. I serve as a SHAC Committee Sub-Leader and wanted to highlight the district's HPV-related cancer prevention efforts. The district participated in the All for Them HPV vaccination grant program in partnership with UT Health for the 5th year. The program was expanded to high schools, and significant growth in participation has been seen, especially at the junior high level. The program targets students as young as 5th grade, and aside from HPV, students are able to get other required and recommended vaccines. Goose Creek will be hosting other vaccine clinics throughout the summer. We'll start All for Them back up in the fall, but others will offer other regular clinics throughout the summer for our community to get started for the new year.
Thank you, Ms. Pena. The SHAC will continue to implement the wellness policy goals with the support of a diverse set of stakeholders. The SHAC would like the board to consider the following 4 recommendations. First is convey the link between health and learning to school leaders, parents, and the community. Second, support the implementation of the GCCISD wellness plan strategies and evaluation. Third, enhance collaboration between the GCCISD board, district leaders, and SHAC to promote student health and wellness on board priorities. Lastly, support comprehensive physical activity programs with training to give students multiple daily activity opportunities.
The SHAC would like to invite individuals that are interested in participating in the 2025-2026 committee to complete an application by visiting the GCCISD SHAC website. Applications will also be sent via Parent Square. Paper copies are also available upon request.
And we just want to say thank you for the opportunity to present the ongoing efforts and progress of our council. And we're happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Just the recommendation to the board was that we would support the engagement of this program, and I think they've demonstrated that so far. Mr. Reed, Ms. Cox, thank you all as parent liaisons with the community, being on part of this committee. Everyone else has to. No, I'm just kidding. But one of the ways the board, I think, could help you, wouldn't you agree, if we all started off every meeting with jumping jacks, push-ups, and sit-ups? Are we in? Okay. Great presentation. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Campisi, next up, we have a superintendent's report called Anti-Bullying Committee, giving their annual report 2024-2025.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. I know this one well because I sit on this committee, along with Mrs. Guy.
Okay, we ready? Okay, good evening, Mr. Campisi, Dr. O'Brien, school board members. We're here to present a quick update on the Anti-Bullying Committee. And so we'll go ahead and jump right in. And then, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And so, first of all, our purpose is, again, we have campus anti-bullying committees that serve the campus, and then we have a district-wide committee that meets quarterly. We'll get into that here in a minute. But the overall purpose is just to make sure that we're improving and strengthening safety for our students and staff, security, and also working on developing student voice. So if there's a problem, that if our students see something, we expect them to vocalize that. If there's something they want to improve at the school, they feel comfortable enough that they have a pathway for increasing student voice and sharing that information either with the administration at the campus, with their teachers, or with the committee that they serve on. Also, our focus is overall to strengthen the culture at our campus, at our schools, to make sure that we're developing a campus of respect, of inclusion, that we're taking care of one another. So that's the goal. For our goals for this year, we have 4 goals. One focuses on prevention efforts, so making sure that what we're implementing at our campuses is helping to prevent bullying actions. As shared in the previous slide, a second goal is to make sure we're elevating student voice, that again, students feel like they have voice in their campus and in decision making. Also expanding staff training and accountability, making sure that our staff, primarily our teachers, are aware of any indication or signs of bullying and they know how to intervene, so they're trained to address that. And then also we're looking at survey data that you'll hear here in a minute. And we're helping, that data is helping to drive some decisions that we're making for our district committee as well as our campus committees. Our process, again, is we meet quarterly. We have several individuals who are represented on the committee. We have parents, we have all of our principals are on the committee. We have school board members, and then also we have students. At two of the 4 meetings, we invite students to participate so that we can hear what they have to say and they can provide input as well. Also, what we did this year is we provided certain bullying scenarios and had the students and the staff break up into small groups to discuss those scenarios and responses that should happen at the campus so that they can start to see how they can play a role in addressing bullying at their schools. And then also at our last meeting, we had an activity where students generated different ideas for their school and they share those ideas so that they can learn from one another. Okay, and then also some of the strategies that we focus on and some of the resources that we focus on. Start with hello. So if there's a student new to the school or a student who's alone, then students know how to be proactive and making sure students, again, feel like they're a part of the school, that they're being included. We do lean on the student handbook, the code of conduct for the definition of bullying and how we address certain disciplinary actions. Each year, we do a student roundtable, and we do that at the district level as well as the campus level, where they have opportunities, again, to share what's working and what's not working. So we're constantly having a conversation on how we can get better on this topic. Also, we, again, in the last activity, we worked on how can we make sure we're advertising at the campus level that students have a way to publicize anti-bullying efforts. And then that last item, adult visibility in key areas, is very important as far as our staff being present in certain areas so that students, again, feel safe and secure at their school. Okay, I'll turn it over to Dr. Reminick for the next piece.
So good evening. Many things are working well with our anti-bullying efforts, one being the reporting tools that we use. Our students are taking advantage of the online systems that they have to report anonymously. We have the P3 app and then also the bullying link. Additionally, our students will report bullying through their Google Classrooms to their teachers. The visibility of staff and the staff being in front of their doors, greeting students, checking in with them, that's working well. And lastly, peer-led change. So of course, our students being the voice and talking to their peers about anti-bullying efforts, that's working as well.
Okay, so as Dr. Bollinger stated, we have a student culture and climate survey that is given to all 3rd through 12th grade students. And this survey focuses on engagement, safety, inclusivity, belonging, and bullying for our district. We run that data district-wide, but in addition to that, we run that for our campus leadership teams for individual campuses. So with that data, we at the Anti-Bullying Committee host student roundtables, and that is where we analyze the data by elementary, junior, and high, and have some robust conversations, and those help drive our anti-bullying goals and our campus goals for the upcoming school year. In addition to that, we have our principals go through the data and compare their campus data to the district data, and we model different activities that they can do with their campus anti-bullying committees and leadership teams. And in addition to that, we monitor these responses in the strategic plan by taking 4 targeted questions that pertain to social and emotional wellness and bullying, and we monitor the responses for agree and strongly agree. We have been doing this survey since 2021. In 2021, we sat at 82% for that average, and we've been stagnant in 22, 23, 23, 24, but we are happy to report that we have seen an increase by 3 percentage points of students who feel that they belong in school, that bullying is decreasing, that they have ways to report. And so that is a celebration for us because we have been working very hard to try to move the needle in that area. Okay, so what are the student roundtable takeaways? Again, these are generated by the students, and that happens at the anti-bullying district committee meeting. So in the elementary, they have a focus area for school pride and increase education and increase education on consequences related to bullying. So their goals at the campuses are really going to be driven by that identified focus area. In addition, they have a celebration. They feel like there has been improved intervention and increased staff visibility in very important areas. At the junior high, their focus area is they notice that students prefer to anonymously report, but one of the issues that we're seeing is that they're failing to provide sufficient data to act upon that report and have action for that. So one of the things they're going to focus on is training students how to give the best possible details, even though it's anonymous, so that administrators can act upon that report. But they also note that successful anti-bullying strategies such as mentorship, providing student ambassadors and reporting tools that are very visible has been something that has improved this year. At the high school, they really want to focus on students being more involved in the reporting and in the prevention of bullying. And they celebrate that they feel like their campuses provide more of a sense of belonging and really focus on those peer-to-peer and peer-to-adult relationships.
All right, so for our 25 bullying coded data, you can see that I'm happy to report bullying incidents have gone down in the last 3 years. We were at 65 incidents of coded bullying this year. Our hazing code was at 7, which was down 1 from last year. The cyber went down to 4, and we had 1 severe case of bullying. So our total incidence of coding of bullying this year was at 77. And just as our panel stated, that I do believe it's because of the work we've done these last 3 years. I've had comments made from principals that say students are speaking up more. They are actually saying, you know, don't do that, that's bullying to other kids, which I think is an impact on that voice that we're talking about. And just as we've said, the visibility of the reporting tools and them being able to put up their own signage and, you know, their own language that they want to use to prevent the bullying. So I'm happy to report that I believe those incidences have gone down due to our efforts these last few years.
As we close out this school year and prepare for next year, we are currently working on new campus ambassadors. With our rezoning, our kids are moving around, so the campuses will be taking a look at the student ambassadors and getting those names prepared. We will continue to focus on our strategic plan, the targets and the strategy, so that we can continue to make growth in all of the areas that we need to. And also, we will have a specialized focus on classroom behavior strategies and support next school year as well.
Okay, at this time, we'll entertain any questions if you have some.
Anyone?
Yes, sir. And again, I believe it goes back to, as I've stressed before, there's other incidences that can evolve from something. It might not be bullying, but it could be coded something differently. And again, even the cyberbullying, a lot of these instances that we've had, a lot of them are at the elementary level, and it's a lot of the education that goes back to educating parents on social media and educating those younger students. Our older ones obviously know what can be done on social media, and if they intend to do it, they intend to. Unfortunately, the younger ones, I don't think are as well educated on social media. And so when we come across incidences, as I've used examples before, it's a matter of bringing those parents in, talking to them, and saying you need to monitor your child. You know, when they're in group chats, when they're in group text, when they're posting on Instagram or Snapchat, they need to be aware that what they can say can be hurtful. So.
Excuse me. On the last item, celebration, strong sense of belonging and relationships, are we talking about getting groups together, or when we say this particular?
Yes and no. I mean, it really depends on what the campus is focused on in terms of how they, you know, provide that sense of belonging. But a lot of it has to do with every student having an avenue to be involved. I'll tell you, we review the survey data, and we've done so for 4 years, and that is one of the target areas in the past, especially for high school. And so I know principals are taking that data into consideration when they're planning for the upcoming year, and they are asked to make changes to their campus based on that feedback from students. And so there have been principals who are really focusing on providing opportunities for students to be involved.
Yeah, I see the numbers have gone down, so evidently the campuses and principals and everyone is taking a little bit more serious about bullying, and that's a good thing for us, our campuses, because for a while there it was kind of out of control. So now it looks like we're trying to get it under control.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing, let's keep it up and get better and better at it, where we won't have any bullying, which possibly is impossible.
Any other questions, comments? Thank y'all very much.
All right, thank y'all for a great presentation. Our next presentation will be our budget update. Ms. Bridget Clark, our CFO, will be presenting. Are you bringing anyone with you, Dr. Bollinger, for compensation?
All right, good evening, President Campisi, board members, Dr. O'Brien. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. This is our second to the last, possibly, board budget update. And happy Sine Die. Today is Sine Die. So it's the last day of the regular legislative session. And I think we can all say a yeehaw on that one. And we haven't seen any indication of having a special session. So looks like it's going to close with a whimper instead of a scream. It sounds like, at least. And we're all very grateful for that. It's been a long session. With that, we will go ahead and get right into it. We're going to talk about all the information that came flooding in at the end of the session or the end of last week, the compensation update, and what our budget calendar and next steps will be. All right, so the 28th was the last day for the House to vote out any Senate bills and Senate joint resolutions, and the last day for the Senate to consider all bills and joint resolutions. Today, of course, is Sine Die, and then the 22nd is the last day the governor can sign or veto bills. There's a little bit of wiggle room, I understand. I'm not sure exactly what the procedural rules are on that, but I know there's some wiggle room on that, but I don't expect there to be much controversy, hopefully. All right, so something that came up procedurally last week was something I haven't had to have any close-up dealings with, just because the bills have either been approved and signed or we've gone into special session and it wasn't necessary. But the governor, a bill can become law without the governor's actual signature, and that is when the governor receives the final form of the bill, which he does, House Bill 2 right now, and he has it for 10 days, not counting Sundays, and he has 10 days to return the bill to the legislature if he has no objections. And then if that happens, then the bill becomes law as if he signed it. So there's that. So, I mean, he does have thousands of bills, so it makes sense that he wouldn't have to actually physically sign each and every one of them, and there is this procedural option for him. House Bill 2 was sent to the governor's desk on the 29th, which means the bill could become law by 6/11. Even if not signed, Moak and Casey has stated on the record that there was no concern of House Bill 2 not becoming law. Now, I trust them as the gold standard of all the organizations that we deal with. They do have insiders that have worked with TEA and for TEA that have recently joined Moak and Casey. So they have a lot of contacts, and I think even Dan Casey and Lynn Moak both worked for TEA at some point. But nonetheless, it's still not 100% a done deal, but that is the messaging that we're receiving. Again, here, it's been voted on by the Senate. It's on its way to the governor's desk, and he has that period of time of 10 days to sign it, or it becomes law if he has no objections. All right, so the major legislative changes in House Bill 2, they came since the last we met on May 6th, so they had major changes. Basically, the Senate just gutted House Bill 2 as it was written by the House and pretty much put their own items back in there from Senate Bill 26, their teacher raise section and all of that. They gutted the basic allotment. It is included in the Senate bill, or the Senate's version of the bill, of an increase of $55 per basic allotment. That's not really a true increase because they took away from the golden penny formula. So they just reallocated it from tier 2 to tier 1, and they called it an increase. But at the end of the day, the net increase to the bottom line is 0. That's pretty much how that's going to work. Or we actually will get just a tiny bit, and it's not going to be $55, not even close. The Senate's version of the required raises is what made it to the final bill, and that's again with the 3- and 4-year teacher and 5+ year teacher of experience, those separate categories for $2,500 and $5,000 respectively. And then they did add a non-staff, non-administration component as well, but all the salaries in the aggregate is by far the lion's share of the bill. It's $8.5 billion. So you see here the lion's share of the $8.5 billion, the $4.2 is for teacher and staff pay raises. So that's nearly half of it right there. And then they did add $1.2 billion for allotment for basic costs right at the end. Now, these all come with strings. This particular allotment is to pay for expenses like increases in insurance, increases in utilities, increases in payroll costs as a result of the raises, and increase in any TRS contributions. Also, there's going to be about a $2 billion increase to special ed funding formulas, but the lion's share of that is not going to take place this budget year. It's going to take place for 26-27. Now, they have accommodated us in the assessment area and have given us some additional funding for that, but the lion's share of that bill is not going to be implemented until next session. And then they did add some items for school safety. The school support pay raise component is going to be calculated by taking ADA times $45, and that's for all school districts. Safety, they increased the per student allotment from $10 to $14 per student, and increased the campus allotment from $15,000 to $37,000. So that gives us about an $800,000 increase from last biennium whenever they first put that in place. And also the allotment for basic costs, which covers insurance and utilities, the $1.2 billion, that's going to be calculated using enrollment times $106. So, and that's going to equate to about $2.5 million for us. And so, but we have exorbitant increases in health insurance costs, and we've contributed millions in the past year to offset and keep those premiums down for our employees. So we've contributed quite a bit of money. This is going to help. Is it going to cover all the deficits? Absolutely not. But we will gladly take it. All right, so as I said earlier, what made it into the bill, the House's version had a $395 increase for basic allotment, and we were all overjoyed and thrilled because that would have given us the discretion to spend those dollars as we needed to as a district, and so did all the other districts across the state. It did not make it into the budget or into the final Senate bill that way. It made it into $55, and as I mentioned, that's not a net funding increase. And of course, it did create that new basic allotment for basic costs of $106 per student. Some of the positives, of course, is the increase for teacher raises. That's very much welcomed. It does have increases for the underfunded school safety mandates that we received over the last couple of years in putting security officers at each campus and so forth. And then a lot of those safety provisions that were handed down as well, like fencing and all those, not enough to cover the expenses, but we'll gladly accept it once again. And then again, the special ed increases, and then non-admin and non-teacher staff allotment increases, and then of course the offsets to insurance, utilities, and district costs for payroll and TRS. Some concerns when I submitted this. Of course, we still don't have the governor to officially sign the bill into law. I saw one report that it had been signed, but I think that was misinformation. I think it's still is sitting there on his desk along with a lot of other bills because today's sine die. But again, we're not hearing any objection whatsoever coming from the governor's office. Myriad components of the bill have not been defined. So it's a 229-page bill, and a lot of that will have rules handed down by our commissioner in the fall like we did last time, and then we found out a lot of surprises that were unfunded mandates that were included, like, oh, by the way, House Bill 4545, you've got to have a 3-to-1 tutoring for those students that don't pass STAR, and then of course the safety components that they added with fencing and adding those officers and all those things. Millions of dollars in unfunded mandates that we had to cover the costs for. So just be aware of that the rules will continue to be handed down, and you may have to be comfortable, or you will have to be comfortable with budget amendments moving forward in these situations. Districts are required to adopt budgets by 6/30 and comply with the law by its effective date of 9/1. So July 1 start districts are under extreme pressure to get their budgets adopted, whether it's signed into law or not. So it's something that's required of us, and we have to move forward with doing that. So just to illustrate here one of the changes that happened since we approved the original deficit of $2.4 million on the 7th of April. Last board meeting on the 6th of May, the board removed from consideration the land sale in the Highlands area of approximately $1.2 million, which was baked into that original deficit. So that gives us an adjusted budget deficit as of this evening of $3.6 million. Now, of course, that does not include House Bill 2 incorporated into the bill. It's just clean with what we approved on April 7th. And of course, it includes the 2% general pay increase for all employees.
So the 1.2 million here was already counted as income?
Yes, sir. It was already baked in.
It might be more appropriate for that box next to it to say administration counted on money that wasn't in the bank.
Well, yes.
Administration pulled this.
It was estimates, yes, sir. So yeah, you are correct. So.
I agree
Yeah.
with Mr. Clem. The board did not remove that from consideration. That was administratively pulled, so I believe that should
Okay.
be corrected. The board
Yes,
did
sir.
not take a vote on that.
Yes, sir. We will correct that language here.
Thank you.
Administration pulled that. I'm sorry for that misinformation, but it did affect the amount that we were considering. So just don't want you to know. I think I pulled a fast one with adding a $1.2 million without you all knowing where that came from. All right, so let's get into some illustrations. This illustration, the first one here, is just 25-26. So scenario A is going to be what you all approved whenever you approved the original deficit, plus that 1.2 million in the land sale that was removed. So that gives us that 3.682 starting deficit. And you can see here, if you look at line 10, even with that being it does have the 2% raise for all employees as well. You can see there on line 4. $4.2 million, but you see on line 10, our estimated fund balance is going to be pretty healthy still, even though we've hit it for the last couple of years, mainly with health insurance is what we've hit it the hardest with. So that's unfortunate, but that was something that we needed to do for employees. But you see we're well within the range of having 3 months expenditure reserves with that $67 million. And then you move over to scenario B, and that's House Bill 2, either coming into law by not being objected to by the governor by, I think, around 6/11. I don't have the official date, but I think it's like June the 11th. And you can see here the pay raise increases because of the House Bill 2 law. We're going to be required to give teachers a $5,000 raise if they have 5 or more years of experience, and a $2,500 raise for 3 and 4 year, and then it would be 2% for the other individuals. You see here we are still, we even have a surplus, $3.7 million, so again, our fund balance looks great. And Dr. Bollinger will get into some of the specifics of the compensation once we move past these scenarios. I'm kind of giving you the 40,000-foot view, and then he's going to get into the details of some of the questions that you may have moving forward.
On the 20, 25, 26 scenario B, the pay increase of 8.8, that's just House Bill 2 requirements?
That is House Bill 2 plus the 2% general pay increase for other employees, plus equity adjustments.
Which leaves,
and you'll see that broken down in the future slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And I do want to apologize. I'm the one that did not catch that misprint earlier in regards to the administrative withdrawal. But I do want to point out, as Bridget has, these are only illustrative purposes. Everything that we've seen so far as a board has just been proposal possibilities of preparing this budget and getting it ready. The final won't be the final until the next board meeting, right?
Correct. Yes, sir. And we got, I mean, Friday was a busy day. We just got the Moke and Casey run on Friday, and we were hammering out numbers, meeting, going back and forth, trying to make sure we got everything included, because they made it very complicated to, I mean, you see all the, these 3 allotments have different calculations, and then we had to go and figure out the difference between the 2% and what House Bill 2 was going to call for, and then add that back in. So yeah, they didn't make it easy by just giving us a basic allotment increase. So these next scenarios are going to be 25, 26 versus 26, 27. So on the blue column, that's 25, 26. We're just going to pull in the data on this illustration as if House Bill 2 for some reason did not get signed. That's the one that you all approved last time, with the addition of that $1.2 million land purchase being removed, or excuse me, land sale being removed. Scenario 1 is 26, 27. And this is meant to illustrate, and you've seen this slide before, this is just repetition, but this is if some kind of crazy scenario happened and for some reason House Bill 2 did not get signed, or he vetoed it, or something in the next few days, you would see we are quickly starting out the year next, or excuse me, yeah, the year next time whenever we're preparing the budget, with a $16.2 million deficit. Now, it does incorporate 2% raise general pay increase for this year, as you see in scenario A, and then also a 2% raise incorporated in 26, 27 as well. That's not mandatory, of course. That could be pulled, and that could reduce the deficit, but just for illustrative purposes, just so you could see what that might look like as far as what we're going to have to start out doing, you can see that here. Now, this one is with House Bill 2 being signed by the governor or approved by procedure with him not objecting. And this scenario B you're seeing here in the blue is that same illustration that we just saw with revenues, there being a slight surplus. You see there on line 8 with that $3.7 million. And then you see, even with House Bill 2 and all of its grandeur and its $8.5 billion invested in school funding, you see if we want to give a 2% general pay increase next year on line 4, we're still going to see on line 8 an $8.9 million deficit starting off. Now, of course, the 4.4 pay or 2% pay increase is not required, but just want the board to be able to see how we're going to start off if we want to give a 2% raise to remain competitive. So, and that in both scenarios is if House Bill 2 is signed and becomes law by procedure and/or. So do y'all have any questions on these slides so far?
On House Bill 2, did the inflationary bump in the biennium get axed?
Yes.
That was completely taken out of that?
Yes, sir.
So it's, in essence, it's a 1-year balanced budget.
That is correct. That's why so many superintendents came out trying to, and they did get some things done, like the allotment for basic costs. That was not in there until the very end. It was a brand new thing that they pushed for at the very end to at least give us some relief, because everybody was getting, crucified with, the increases in insurance costs. I mean, they were just killing us. And that was a huge thing. And plus all the, when they forced us to give a raise, like by giving an amount, like $2,500 or $5,000 for teachers specifically, it also has payroll costs associated with it that aren't covered. The $2,500 is just a base increase. It doesn't incorporate all the benefits and everything as well. So that was a win. We got that. We were very happy we did get that. But as far as basic allotment and having the discretion to spend funds as we need to, or as we feel that we need to, that was not part of it in the end.
And the teacher increase is one time as well, the first year, which carries over.
Yes, it's a permanent raise. Yes, sir.
But it doesn't go up on year 2.
Correct. Yeah, it's
fixed.
That is correct. Yeah. Next year we'll have to start from scratch with raises again. So.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I at one point saw something, and then I saw that maybe somebody misspoke. But
there's a lot of that.
That
yes.
pre-K was going to be fully funded.
That was a misstatement. That was misinformation. Right now, pre-K is still funded at 0.5 ADA, not 1. And what they did was, that I found out in a Mogan Casey webinar on Friday as well, was they went and they kind of what they did with the basic allotment, they went and they call it reallocation of the early education allotment. So they're taking money away from the early education allotment and using it to fund full day pre-K. And there are going to be winners and losers in that scenario. And, it's just going to, the calculations they haven't been really released yet, but there's going to be winners and losers. And they're using that as in stating that they fully funded full day pre-K. That's not the case. So some districts are going to get less money than they got before with the early education allotment. So they're going to have less money to do full day pre-K than they did before. So that was misinformation.
I just have one more thing to say.
Yes.
It's not really a question, but I'm very disappointed in our governor. The least he could do is sign the bill, so that people could pass budgets. So just think about that. I'm not convinced.
We'll know by June 20, what is it, June 20?
Well, if June 11th, if he has no objection, it will become law if he has no objections by June 11th.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's a good thing. Yes. So it's coming, but it's not here yet. So
pray that he forgives.
But generally speaking, Ms. Clark, rather than increasing basic allotment, as you said, they've given pockets to certain things without consideration of how that impacts the organization as a whole. So our board will be left trying to figure that out. A good example is the increase to safe and secure schools. The original increase covered about 10% of what we're spending on safe and secure schools. So I'm just speculating this would probably be another 10% if it matched what we previously did. So they're putting money in pockets that don't cover everything.
Right.
And so it makes it challenging for us, administration, to balance the budget and present a balanced budget to the Board of Trustees for consideration.
Exactly. We needed a $1,300 increase in basic allotment. I saw it today.
To balance everything.
Just to keep up with the inflation since 2019, because we haven't had a basic allotment increase since 2019. So that's what it would take. So we got some money. We're very thankful and grateful for it, but it's not going to solve our problems. So, but we'll certainly take it. So one thing I need to mention real quick on the timeline before we talk about the options is because of where we are in June and we have to adopt a budget by June 30th, our next budget or our next board meeting is the 19th of June, which it was the 16th. But if we wait until, this is why the compensation options are on as an action item for you all, because we're going to have to take action this evening one way or another. because of the timeline. If we wait until 6/19 to approve or adopt the compensation plan, it doesn't change the fact that we have to publish it in the paper by 6/9, which means we have to know what to publish in order to have time for the paper to post it, because they can't just post it and submit it on the 9th and then post it on the 9th. We have to submit it to them by the 4th for it to be published by the 9th. And then you see how it's all kind of like a timeline that pushes, hard deadlines as you go forward, just because of the statute on publishing public notice.
But the current compensation recommendation, which we're about to get to, will match what we've done previously and would not be out of line with what the board would be normally presented with.
That's correct. We're going to give an option for, on the next slide, I'll get into it, and I'll go ahead and so you can look at it. But even if we were to move the budget adoption to the 30th, which is the very last day and gets very dicey, and doesn't give us time for payroll trials and all of those things that we need to do, the latest we could adopt, the latest that we would can adopt by law is the 30th, and then we'd have to have a special meeting to publish by the 19th. We'd have to have a special meeting on the 16th. So it's really not going to help us, right? It's not going to help us to even change the meeting to the 30th to try to buy more time, because it would have to be submitted and known. The numbers would have to be known by the 16th to submit it to the paper to be able to be published in time.
So it will help to get part of the equation solved tonight?
Yes, sir. The lion's share of it, if we could get it, because we have to know what we're going to have, and then we could get it in the paper. It has to be in the paper we have to give it to the paper by tomorrow in order to adopt our budget on the 19th, because of the 10-day requirement for publishing and the lead time the paper requires to publish it in their paper. So
but we won't know till the 11th.
That's what I'm saying. So we have the option. If you look at this slide, we can adopt the compensation plan that we originally wanted to do, the 2%, because we were already prepared to do that, right? We already actually approved that, or approved that deficit, with the exception of the $1.2 million for the land. We approved that on the 7th of April, and we approved that with that $2.8 million deficit. It's now 3.9 or 3.8 or whatever it is. But we did do that so we could go ahead and move forward with this. So, but if we're going to have to change those numbers and we decide to adopt if House Bill 2 gets signed tonight or tomorrow or whatever.
So option 2.
If we don't do that, we're still going to have another meeting, because the numbers are going to change, right? Because the compensation plan is going to change from being well, I guess the way we can do it is word it, if you wanted to adopt option 2, but contingent upon the House Bill 2 becoming law, either by no objection by the governor or by him signing it, you could make that language in the motion. And then we could give the delta between the 2% and the House Bill 2 required amounts. And if you state that in the language that way, then we can make those adjustments.
Which some of it will explain itself as we move along in this presentation.
Right. I was going to say, can we get Dr. Bollinger to go ahead and do his presentation? Because we're kind of putting the cart before the horse right now.
Yeah, this is just the overview, and then he can do his, and then I just wanted y'all to see this, just so you could kind of chew on that until we're to the end. But that'll be an action item later on in the meeting. So, and you see here the June 2nd meeting, that's sine die tonight. Then we just have the one additional regular board meeting unless we decide to call a special on June 19th. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr.
Okay. Can I? All right, so for the compensation plan, what we presented initially was several different options. And so right now, and this is just a summary of what Ms. Clark just shared. So if we did a 2% general pay increase across the board, the cost to the district would be $4.1, almost $4.2 million. And so that's listed at the bottom. This includes all the equity adjustments plus 2% for each group. Okay, so just remember that number. Ms. Clark shared that there was a House version, and then the Senate came in and made some complicated adjustments to the bill, and that's what's moving forward is the Senate version. So what we want to do is explain, kind of get into the weeds on on what the Senate version of House Bill 2 looks like. And so, first of all, what it does is it adds a spend requirement for teachers that have 3 to 4 years of experience. And so that spend requirement is $2,500 for those teachers. And so we get funding for that. For teachers that have 5 or more years of service, that increases to $5,000. Now, these numbers are different for small districts, but for mid to large districts, these are the numbers that we're working with. If you go to the slide previous, it gives you more detail if you're interested in that, but rural schools get more funding than we do. And then there's also a spend requirement for non-teacher, non-admin, and so Ms. Clark shared this, but just as a reminder, we get $45 per ADA allotment for the non-teacher, non-admin staff, and that equates to almost $1 million for Goose Creek if we did our math correctly. And so that's pretty much a breakdown of the Senate's version. So when we look at our current staff, what does that mean? So right now, and this number can fluctuate because right now we're in early summer, so we have a lot of vacancies, a lot of teachers are leaving, a lot of teachers are coming. So that total number of 1417 is probably going to be closer to 1550 by the end of the day. But if you look just right now, this is the breakdown of those teacher groups of years of experience. We have 186 teachers today that have 0 to 2 years of experience. And so we don't get any funding for them for a pay increase. We have 179 teachers who fall into the 3 to 4 year experience, and so we get $2,500 per teacher for pay increase for those staff. And then you can see the bulk of our staff is 5 or years more experience at 1,052. And so again, we get funding for $5,000 per teacher for their pay increase, okay? Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit more detail on this. And so if we were to apply a 2% raise, if the board approved a 2% raise and House Bill 2 passed, here's sort of what we're looking at. Our teachers with 0 to 2 years experience, we don't get any funding for them, but if we were to pass a 2% raise, or if the board were to approve that, then we would have to fund that portion of it. But for all the other teachers, 3 years and higher, that House Bill 2 takes care of their raise, and so we don't have to fund that portion of the raise. And so the estimated cost to the district just for the teacher group on a 2% raise and House Bill 2 passing is about $255,000, okay? And we're gonna go through each group and then add it up at the end. So you'll see that. Here's what the adjusted pay raise would look like. So if you're interested, how much is $2,500 extra dollars for those teachers, or how much is $5,000 extra dollars? Well, it's pretty significant. So you can see that 0 to 2 years, again, that equals a 2% raise here. That number's fixed at $1,375 for teachers at 0, 1, or 2. But then when you get to years 3 and 4, again, if House Bill 2 passes, they get $2,500 towards compensation, and that's almost a 4% raise for those teachers. And then when you get to 5 years and more, that $5,000 of additional funding equals, depending on where you are on the pay scale for teachers, it can be 7.5% all the way down to about 6.5%. Okay, so that's a substantial raise for teachers with experience, and that really is the intent of the bill, is to keep teachers in the profession longer, and so money talks, and so that's the intent. Now, there's good news and bad news.
Pause. The new higher salary column is right now today's numbers?
Right now, 63.5, correct, that's correct.
All the way to 31 plus, that's right now today?
Yes.
And then the percent increase would be, well, wait, it would be Goose Creek hitting the 2% for 0 to 2.
Correct.
And everything else is on the state.
Correct.
Thank you.
That is correct. Okay, so that's the teacher group.
Wait, there's more.
Okay.
That's the number in the fourth column. Well, not counting years. Go all the way back to like House Bill 2 signed by governor, and we're going to put 8.8 million into salaries. That's our money and the new state money all added together.
Yes, sir.
Plus some more that's about to be explained to us.
And it's all the required teacher raises, which comes out to be over 6 million. And then it's the benefits, which is around 10 or 11%, plus the pay raises for the 2% that's not covered by any state funding.
Okay.
Yes.
But we're coming to that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to go through each group.
I'm just trying to stay on board.
They made it very complicated.
I just had to stop and blow up my life preserver.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And then this does get a little muddy. So your non-admin, non-teacher group, again, there's some funding to supplement raises for those roles. And so what we get again is about $1 million, $45 per ADA. And so the math here is on the slide. But so if you were to apply a 2% raise for that group, it equals almost $1.2 million. And so that additional funding from the state doesn't quite get us to 2%, but it gets us about 80% there. And so just like the district having to pay for teachers at year 0, 1, and 2, we would also have to, if we wanted to apply a 2% raise, we'd have to supplement about 20% of the cost for these roles. And so that number is at about $223,000. That's about 20%, and then the state would fund the other almost $1,969,000. Does that make sense? So our portion of payment.
Give an example of that fits in that group of staff.
Sure. Your custodians, your paraprofessionals, your bus drivers. Yeah. Anyone who's not a teacher and not an administrator would fall.
Counselors, nurses.
They would fall in this group too. Well, no. Counselors fall under administration. They're on an administrative contract. Yep. And we'll talk about nurses here in a minute because that's also something different. Okay, so here's a rough estimate if the board, and this is sort of the take-home message here, if the board were to approve a 2% raise and House Bill 2 would pass, this is a very rough estimate. TASB has made it very clear to us that they're not running anything until it passes because they don't want to do work that's not necessary. And so we do have a meeting with them on Wednesday, but their numbers are official. But so the rough estimate goes like this. Teachers would cost the district $255,000 if House Bill 2 were to pass and we were to pass a 2% raise because we're funding teachers 0 through 2. The state is funding the rest and then some. Non-teachers, non-admin, that's what we just covered. We would have to fund about 20% of that 2% raise, which equals $223,000, give or take. Administrators aren't included at all. So if the board were to approve a 2% raise, that portion is $745,000. The next bullet is very much a rough estimate. We don't know really what to do here. We know that there's going to be substantial equity adjustments if House Bill 2 passes. And so what we did here was we just doubled the equity adjustments that TASB originally put out. And here's why we're concerned about this. It's a good news that teachers with experience are getting a dramatic raise, 7%. The downside to that is that creates a huge pay compression issue. So you have teachers now who are going to pass other groups, such as our entry-level administrators, our SSAs, our elementary counselors, some individuals who are on the teacher pay scale but aren't teaching anymore. And so they're going to get passed up. And so as a result, we need to go in or the right thing to do is to go in and make equity adjustments to make sure we still have the proper promotional pay scales in place. Otherwise, we're going to have a shortage in those areas. And you're going to see that even more dramatically on the next slide. But if you add all this up together, it's about $1.7 million. We don't want to be quoted on that number because, again, it's just us doing the math based off what we have. But TASB will be able to give us a more clearer picture. But that's kind of what we think would cost. And so A good way to look at it is if we were to foot the whole 2% across the board bill, that's $4.1 million. If you remember that first slide, $4.1 million. If House Bill 2 passes, it's probably going to be closer to about 2 million, 1.7 to 2 million. Okay, so about half.
So thank you, Matt, for explaining that, because my question was going to be, what does the first year administrator make and what does the first year counselor make?
Yep.
Because if you're
not much more is the
not
answer.
more, yeah. And so it doesn't make sense for anybody to go in those positions.
Right, like an elementary counselor is on a 197 admin 3, and so it's a little bit above teacher pay, but with a 7% raise, that's probably going to create an issue. So here's the other complication. This is my last slide, and this is a real complication, is that there are certain positions that are on the teacher pay scale, but they're not defined as a true classroom teacher. And so they don't qualify for House Bill 2 raises. And so a good example is our teaching and learning coaches. Those are experienced teachers who leave the classroom to start coaching teachers on campus. We have athletic trainers who fall in that category, librarians, nurses, media specialists. So we have a group, and every district has this problem. We have a group of staff who are on the teacher pay scale, but they're not classroom teachers. And so what's going to happen is, most likely when House Bill 2 passes, individuals that fall in these groups are going to get passed up by experienced teachers. And so if I'm a teacher coach coaching a group of teachers, and now they're making more than I am due to House Bill 2, my tendency is probably going to be to go back into the classroom. And so we're going to struggle with some of these other positions. If I'm a librarian, my tendency is going to be to go back into the classroom. And so as a district, and that's one of the reasons why we're meeting with TASB, we're going to have to make a decision. And we have 3 options. So option 1 would be just they get a 2% raise like administrators, and we let it ride, and see what happens. We're not recommending that option, but that's option 1. Option 2 is we go ahead and foot the bill on what House Bill 2 would cost if we were to apply it to these staffing positions. And so Brooke Dockery helped run these numbers. We have 112 staff that fall into this group. Okay, 112 staff. And then she broke it down into years of service. And so the total, most of these individuals, I think 106 out of 112 were 5 years or more experience, which makes sense because they're in, leadership positions. And so the cost would be $520,000 if we were to say, hey, we're going to apply House Bill 2 raises out of our own pocket. And so that would be a pretty significant equity adjustment. So that's option 2. And we don't have to make this decision tonight. We're just sharing the information, and we'll come back to it. And then option 3 would be you'd place all these positions on the administrative pay scale. But the problem with that is it probably costs even more than applying it to House Bill 2 because you're having to push them above that 7% raise. So anyway.
The other problem is you give the appearance of being heavy administration, and it affects our first rating.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
So the title.
Correct, and it would give us a top-heavy feel, which we've worked very hard to reduce and eliminate.
The TLCs are paid through title money, right?
They are.
Yes.
Partially or completely?
Completely.
So how does that affect our decision on raises? They go on administrator contracts. We can't use title funds. I think we all agree that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
If we don't, I don't think that's a good idea. But just in my thinking, we may have to reallocate some of our title money for the purpose of raises, but it's not going to affect the general fund overall. I'm also, help me through this. I understand if we hire a teacher with 5 years of experience and we hire a counselor with 5 years of experience, where there might need to be an equity adjustment there. But I can't get past people saying, well, this 31-year teacher is making $85,000 now, or whatever the number is, but this first year AP is only making 75.
Yeah.
That's not something I don't think we need to worry about, because if you want to be an AP, be an AP. But if you want to go back in the classroom, you're only going to be 4 or 5 years experience anyway. And that's especially true of the SSA positions, because I haven't seen very many 20-plus year SSAs go into that position. And plus, we're kind of already devaluating them just a little bit by making them split campuses to save money.
No, you're
There's
correct.
a whole lot of things like
Yep.
that we haven't thought through yet.
No, you're correct, and it's not going to be it's never going to be perfect. And you're right. If I have 30 years of experience as a teacher, I'm probably going to be bringing in more income than someone that's first or second year.
And the other side of that is I'm not going to leave the classroom now and go become an AP. You know, if I wanted to be an AP, I would have done it 15 years ago.
Yes.
I think the comparison is more apples to apples, 10 years versus 10 years.
But the topic outside of this room is what I'm hearing is those high-year teachers are going to get all this money, and the beginning APs are not going to get it. But if they're not, they're going to be a beginning teacher if they don't become a beginning AP. So that makes sure we're looking at apples to apples.
But I agree. I do think we need to look at those like the 10-year teachers. You know, if you're a teacher with 10 years experience, I think that would be a great person to move into an admin position if they have the qualifications. And so we need to make sure it's beneficial to those types of people. You don't want it to where it's only incentivized if you have like 5 years or less of teaching experience.
But then you're on the point of, it may be that, but what if a teacher has been, or someone came in that position but had been a teacher in another district? They have the years of experience. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay.
No matter where they've taught.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are pay compression issues that we'll have to iron out.
I think what you're indicating, though, is it's just going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 in that to rectify that.
The numbers are not as scary as I was thinking they were going to be. So if we go back to where it says compensation plan options that we really kind of need to decide tonight.
So, and we may be saying the same thing, but
yeah.
But our recommendation, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Clark, is that the board would approve a 2% pay raise across the board, and then if House Bill 2 passes, then we would apply that funding to, of course, we would have to apply that funding to those staff who qualify.
Right. In previous conversations, it was said and questioned and said again that if we approved a 2% pay raise before House Bill 2 became law, and then it became law, we would have to keep that 2% and add the 7% for a net 9%. Has that changed?
That provision didn't make it into the law, so it won't.
Okay, I'm real slow tonight. Yes or no? Do we have to add?
We do not.
Thank you. So if we approve option 1, we're not backing ourselves into a corner that may give some people 9% raises.
Correct.
Possibly, though, if it's not signed and it goes back in the special session, then yes, that could happen. Highly unlikely, but it could still happen.
It's
and
always.
That goes back to the 3 point whatever deficit we agreed to months ago, right?
Yeah, special sessions, it's all out the window because they can start over and have a whole different proposal before us instead of House Bill 2. Special session could just start from scratch and recalculate everything, which is post our required adoption date of June 30 anyway.
If we choose option 1, we are not backing ourselves into an unsustainable corner.
Correct, but the only caveat on that is that if we want to adopt the full budget on the 19th, we have to submit tomorrow the legal posting that has to have the number that we approved. So we would have to call a special meeting and repost again to correct that if we change the number, because we can't say either or in the posting. It has to have a definite number.
If we choose option 2, we're considering that as passed.
That's correct. So that's the.
So if we consider option 3, which is no raise whatsoever, can we come back after House Bill 2 is signed or not and change our compensation package as a budget amendment?
We can.
So we could come back in July and say, we got our money, give it to the teachers, give it to the staff as we discussed tonight. Or we didn't get our extra money, give everybody 2% and just write it off as a budget amendment.
But the problem I see with that is you start off July 1 pay deficit. So you'll be making up past
We're going to have to
repayments.
We'd have to retro
Yeah,
pay and change the check amounts and that sort of thing. So it gets a little bit messy, but the only other option would be to have the meeting that we were supposed to have on the 16th. I don't know if there's a reason. I know that we had to move it to the 19th because of legal needing to be present. But in order to meet the deadline, to publish, the latest we could do that would be having a special meeting on the 16th, because you have to publish 10 days before the adoption date. So we'd have to have a meeting on the 16th to adopt the compensation plan, so we'd know what numbers to put in to the publish posting. And then we'd also have to call another meeting. Actually, we could. So the latest we can adopt is the 30th of June, right? And so we'd have to call a special meeting and publish it by the 19th. Right, see how confusing, and I mean, because you have to have.
Would be option 2 with the verbiage to make our adjustments once it's passed.
Right, yeah, just because of the timeline. Right. It's so arduous, and I mean, because we're so late in the game with, no definitive signing of the bill, even though we don't think there's going to be any issue, but.
I mean, would your wording be pending House Bill 2 going into law? Like they're passing it pending House Bill 2 going into law? Can you do that?
Yeah, we could do it that way.
Or do you not like that idea?
I mean, we could do it, but you don't have a definitive number, so I can't publish it tomorrow. I can't call the paper and say, this is our budget number, and it legally has to be I have to legally post it.
So it sounds like we're going to have to come back for a special meeting
to have
good numbers.
Or approve compensation tonight and do the opposite of what Mr. Clem proposed, is come back and make a budget amendment to change the approved amount. Instead of doing nothing and then coming back for a special meeting in July.
We have to adopt a budget with something in there in compensation, yeah. Okay. We have to adopt a budget by the 30th,
So I have a question. If we do option 1 and do the 2% general pay increase to everybody, and then it passes, could we come back and do a budget amendment and it not be quite as messy, because the people that it really affects, their new pay rates don't really start until August or September
the teachers,
anyway?
Yeah, the lion's share of it won't be affected until the September 1 start dates, which is basically teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
So we could really, it would just be those kind of equity adjustments for any administrators that we'd have to kind of fix, but that shouldn't be too crazy, right?
Right. I mean, we could adopt the budget without a compensation plan at all, and we could just post it in the paper, and then once it does finally get approved, then we can go and adopt the compensation plan. But you really need to adopt it. I mean, it's in its entirety as part of the budget, because if you don't, it just gets very messy.
So option 2.
And that, I mean.
Jeff Linson, what do you think?
Option 2
doesn't include 2%.
Does option 2 back us into a corner of having to match what House Bill 2 says if it doesn't become law?
Yep, that's
then
exactly
we need
what.
to do option 1.
Yep. So.
Option 1 is our 2%
That's our
raise
safety.
we've agreed on.
Yeah.
And then we will be required by law to change compensation.
Correct. And then, like she said, option 2 that incorporates everything from House Bill 2 is going to be mostly teachers, because of those are going to be the $2,500 and the $5,000 forced increases.
I don't
Gladly.
see this listed as an action item tonight, so you just need our guidance?
It's listed as an action item, standalone.
B.
6B.
Yeah, it's by itself.
Well, y'all need to quit. Y'all need to quit sneaking stuff in there. Okay.
Coming real quick. So, Ms. Clark, what are you recommending at this point? What is administration's recommendation?
I would say do option one with the 2% because that gives us our safety, but just know we're gonna have to come back after the fact once this does officially become law.
To accommodate HB2 and all those increases, correct?
And that could occur between now and the 19th.
It could. It could.
The latest
It
date
likely
is the
will
11th.
since the 11th is the last time he can change anything.
So they have between the 11th and the 16th to come back and approve?
The 11th is the date that's going to be the 10 days that allows it to become law without objection by the governor. Even if he doesn't sign it, it will become law on the 11th.
As written.
As written, unless he comes back with objections. So.
Before that date.
Right. So.
So I still think we're fine for the 19th to modify option one, if necessary. Right?
No, it's not going to give us enough time. It's going to have to be after the fact. Yeah.
The last day is the 16th.
Right.
So the board president could move for a special call meeting on the 16th.
Correct.
If required prior to the 11th.
Right. If it becomes law by the 11th, if we call a special meeting by the 16th, then we're within the timeline to make that change. But hey, maybe we'll get good news in the next day or so. Maybe he signs it. Maybe he, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to sign it. I mean, we're getting.
He's going to let it just
ride.
Moak and Casey.
It's going to pass by.
They got the inside.
Yeah, they have contacts. Leo Lopez is a senior member of Moak and Casey, and he just came from TEA working as their master, template and school funding person. So, and he's the one that said they didn't anticipate any problems. So, but again, it's not 100%. It's 99.9, but it's not 100.
Hey, we've based our decisions on less than that before, I can tell you that. So I just.
And strange things do happen, so.
And we're going to blame Randy for that 1.2.
Any further questions? We'll discuss it again in just a few minutes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pretty good job.
Confusing, yes.
All right, and with that, Dr. O'Brien, we'll move to item number 6, action items.
Okay, so I can assure to the board that this list of action items will be simpler than the one you just heard from. 6A, consideration of consent. Number 1, donation from Crinvestro of $10,000. Number 2, donation from GCCISD Education Foundation, designated grant by ExxonMobil, $51,000. Number 3, board policy CDA local, other revenues and investments. Number 4, resolution for the school district's approved sources of instruction relating to investment responsibilities. Number 5, list of qualified broker dealers and financial institutions for 25-26 school year. Number 6, engagement letter from the independent audit firm of Mays and Associates PLLC, formerly Stark, Garcia, and Stanley LLC, who the district has done business with, for the district's annual financial audit for the fiscal year 24-25. Number 7, memorandum of understanding, MOU with Harris County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program, JJAEP, for the 25-26 school year. Number 8, grant memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the City of Houston Health Department, HHD, and Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District. Number 9, job order, contracting JOC as the delivery method, delegate authority to the superintendent or designee to negotiate and to approve the contracts and subsequent amendments for projects to be funded. by 2019 bond remaining funds. And number 10, property foreclosures. Number 11, tax refunds.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. I'm trying to do my part. Are there any items that the board member would like to pull for discussion or separate consideration at this time? We'll start on my right and work to my left. Mr. Mercer. Number 9, pull or discuss? Discuss separately? Okay, separately. Anything else? Ms. Brat-Timms, Mr. Sampson?
No.
Mr. Clem?
Question on property foreclosures. Once those go to auction, if the property's auctioned, does that money go into?
We have Mr. Benoit here this evening to answer that question.
Tell me what happens if it sells and if it does not sell.
So these that have come before the board have already gone to a first sale. There were no successful bidders. If it goes back to sell and there's a successful bidder, then the money that we receive gets split pro rata between the various taxing entities. If it does not get resold, it stays on our struck off list, which we maintain, the school district maintains those properties for a future resale.
Okay, so all these properties we're looking at tonight, we've already taken them off the property roll.
Correct. They're currently held by Goose Creek for the benefit of all the taxing entities. We're not receiving any tax revenues, which is one of the benefits of getting these put back out.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we maintain them on behalf of all 3 entities?
Correct. And we're able to, these properties are generally held by various entities across town. So some are owned and maintained by Harris County, some are owned and maintained by the city of Baytown. These we foreclosed on because we were the lead plaintiffs in the lawsuit. Generally speaking, you're talking about mowing is kind of the main thing. Each of these properties that are up for consideration tonight are vacant lots, with the exception of one upon which a recreational vehicle, an RV, has been moved on.
I had my eye on that.
Along with an old Mercedes-Benz that I don't know works. So we're talking about mowing mainly. In very irregular mowing, I don't think we're going out, in the same frequency we do with our campuses.
So these are all second tries.
This is correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Clem, would you like to leave it in or?
No, leave it there.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Clem? To my left, Mr. Martinez.
Yeah, on the 6A8, I just have a question about the the choosing the best teacher fidelity clause. Is that the teachers choose the curriculum discussed, or if anybody could speak to that?
I think the question is, what is best?
Yeah, choosing the best.
Can you speak to that, Ms. Kennington? Yes. Yes.
It is the district sexual risk avoidance or abstinence education that was approved by the board in 2022.
Okay. Yes, and so the choosing the best is just refraining from these like sharing personal stories, discussing religion, expressing value judgments. It's not necessarily choosing the curriculum that's being discussed.
Correct. You're talking about the fidelity clause.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Martinez, are you good with leaving it in, or would you like to pull it? Thank you very much, Mrs. Guy. All right. What is the pleasure of the board relating to items 1 through 8 and 9,
I would move
10 through 11?
approve consent agenda items 1 through 8, 10, and 11 as presented.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem for
I'll
items
second.
1 through 8 and
I'll
10
second.
and 11 on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Guy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? By show of hands. Any opposed? 7-4, 0 against, motion carries. We'll move on to item number 9.
Yes, sir. Mr. Renteria, can I answer your questions or attempt to?
What are we using this bond money for?
So remaining from the 2019 bond, there were no funds remaining other than interest earned. So of that interest earned, the last Citizens Bond Oversight Committee authorized the district to spend those funds on future capital improvement projects. This money was designated for two critical areas. One is the conversion of Lamar Elementary into the Peter E. Highland campus, and two, the mass critical operational needs that Dr. Price had submitted for consideration. So each summer, Dr. Price presents critical mass operational needs. It can range from boilers, hot water heaters, things of that nature, transformers. That
How much money is he asking?
So it's broken down right there on page 114. I'll pull that up for you.
And how much money for the new conversion of Lamar? Because we were sold on it that we weren't going to be spending too much money on that conversion.
So the $4 million is what's remaining through the interest earnings, and all of that must be spent on capital projects. So
right.
The conversion of Lamar outside of, originally I think the board was estimated to be about 1.2, 1.4, somewhere in that range, and it has increased to double that to incorporate a couple of other programs. The programs that weren't included in the original estimate included the Texas Workforce Commission becoming a part of that campus and the Houston Food Bank becoming a part of that campus. What was discussed without a lot of detail was bringing the virtual academy onto that campus and the early childhood onto that campus. One of the things that we were a little bit unprepared for, Ms. Davis has been on that committee, she may be able to speak to it a little bit more, but one of the things we were not prepared for is, for example, just relocating a playground. Playgrounds aren't the old playgrounds that cost a few $1,000s. They're upwards to close to $100,000 to build a playground because they're no longer just poles stuck in the dirt with sawdust thrown down. They are actually fabricated concrete slabs that then have the soft foam poured into that, on top of that, to provide a safe landing pad for kids that slide up and down and things of that nature. So
we're going to spend how much on the playground?
I don't have the exact breakdown for the playground itself, but for the entire conversion, everything needed, including signage, the programs that I've discussed just now, is $2.8 million for the Lamar conversion, including what was added since our last conversation. And then for the emergency repairs, it was $1.2 million. So it is expending the entire amount, so there's no longer funds floating around waiting to be spent.
Well,
we were able to identify.
Expenditures we could use it on, like the roof for Robert E. Lee. That's an expenditure that could be a capital
I'm not
project.
sure if that's part of Dr. Price's summertime operational. Do you have the items? So you have the Robert E. Lee, okay.
When they sold us this project at Lamar, we said, or they said, that we weren't going to be spending that much money. Now we're to the millions.
I'm finding, yeah.
So, you know, I'm probably going to vote against this simply because of the way that they sold it to us and said that, you know, oh, it's not going to be much of a, you know, we're going to put a wall, everything's already there, you know, and here we are in a budget crunch and deficit that we've always had, adding $3 million to something that, you know, I didn't agree with in the first place.
Right, but one of the
Dr.
things
Price,
is that,
Dr.
okay,
Brian,
go ahead.
Still on that, when I read here on the critical FCA work, Dr. Price, it does list here that the scope of work for the critical is that chill and hot water pipe and a roof unit at Lee High School.
And
Is that
replace the
part of
chiller
what-
and driveway at Austin Elementary. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, is that part of the roof that?
Yeah, that's the roof at Robert E.
But you
Lee,
were
but
speaking
he said
of-
it's coming from a different fund.
Oh, it's on here.
Yeah.
The portion of it coming from there, and then the portion of it that Dr. O'Brien is giving from the city fund.
Okay.
We take care of all of it.
The full, okay. I just wanted to point that out since it mentioned it and we said it wasn't, but it is on here in our notes.
So in the notes here also, I failed to list all the things that Lamar Repurpose is doing. It's going to accommodate relocation of the childcare. I did say convert a wing into the virtual academy, repurpose classrooms and administrative spaces to accommodate the Empower Academy and staff, including truancy department, renovate a portion of the campus to accommodate the district's vision for Peter E. Highlands Center. Those are the other elements that I listed. Project will include new exterior signage, a marquee. Project will include relocation of numerous staff from the original Lamar campus, current Point campus, and current Peter E. Highland campus.
Right, I get it. And I hear the itemized list that you gave. Again, my protest or my thoughts are that, you know, we said that we weren't going to spend a lot of money, and here we are. When we have a lot of needs, I mean, that's why we ran that bond that one time, because we had so many needs in the district according to the reasoning for running the bond, and here we are converting something and spending millions of dollars when we probably should have thought this out a little bit better than we did.
Well,
and it's very disturbing to me that.
So I can understand your frustration with expenses, but the alternative is also true. We couldn't have done nothing because.
Well, my plan, Randy, was that we rezone and then we don't have to do any changes there.
Well, the opportune moment was because we were wrapping up a bond, but beyond that, the Point campus serves about 100 students, and they're in the old San Jacinto building. If you'll recall, just walking back history, when the legislators passed in the last legislative session that all children who vape will go to Point, we did not have the facilities to house that many students, and we were previously in Highlands in portable buildings.
Why when we discussed this in open session out here, why didn't we?
Well, we have a more comprehensive view of all of the changes. That's why it's being presented to you as it is now. But you're absolutely right. We didn't have a full scope of all the things that would be required with this. But the opportunity is that the San Jacinto Elementary School can no longer serve Point.
I get it. But that was
so it has to have a new home, one way or the other. So, but you're right. It has grown to some degree, but it's not. We're not adding programs specifically. We're rearranging the programs that we currently have. Point is in a building it can no longer be in because the HVAC alone would cost over $1 million to repair for that campus.
I get it. But that's colossal growth that, you know, that I believe is, you know, wasn't managed well. When we're having to do that and spend money after the fact, when we didn't think it through the right way, because I sat here and questioned every bit of that every time. Even a meeting after that, I said, hey, give me the numbers as we're going, so I want to see how much we're spending there.
So you were right. You did ask for that information. But for example, the reference I just gave for vaping, all having to go to Point moving forward, we found that out after Sine Die. We found it out in June, and Dr. Price had to move an entire campus from Highlands to the old San Jacinto. We did that in 30 days.
So what I'm saying, Randy, though, is that we rushed it, we didn't think it through, and now we're paying the price for it. Because that money,
I think we did think it through. We just didn't have all of the information. There's a lot of strategic planning going into this program.
You know, and we're saying that we're not going to spend that much money because it's already fit for what we're doing. And then here we are,
right,
being asked to, you know, this taxpayer money, any way you slice it, you know, whether it's money of interest or bond money, you know, they want us to use and appropriate that money in a good way. And
so the question would be, to answer that would be, is the new Peter E. Highland campus and the vision that goes along with that a service to this community? And I believe it's overwhelmingly, the answer to that is yes.
Okay. I mean, like I said, though, I mean, the way y'all sold it to us was...
We gave you the information we had at the time, and I agree with you. It was short with information because we knew we were having to roll campuses, but we did not have all the details at the time, and I take full responsibility for that.
I hate to take credit that I mean, I was...
You called on it.
And I knew it. You just, these days...
At that time, it was 1.2.
You can't build and you can't construct and do things what we were trying to do without having that kind of money to spend.
Yes, sir, but the good news is it's not coming out of maintenance and operation fund. It's not coming out of the board's budget per se.
But it's money we could use in other areas that are more dire straits.
Well, I'm saying this is one of those other areas.
I mean,
it's about
that's debatable on, you know, I get it.
Yeah, the priority of the district's vision and mission.
Anyway,
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you with the original presentation was short of information. I do agree with you on that, sir. Yeah. Any other questions? I'll be glad to answer.
I would echo what Mr. Renteria was just speaking of. The number that came in is considerably higher than what I was even expecting. I did go tour that facility on Friday with Miss Brenda Garcia, and there's not a lot of fluff or anything like that going into the building. I'm not happy about the 2.8. I was expecting something less, but after touring that building personally, I see the direction this district's going, and because of that, I can support it. But as a board member, I want to say up front, we need more information, more real numbers on the front side, so we're not getting sticker shock on the back.
Yes, sir. I agree with you. I support that.
I understand that a lot went into this, but again, I'm sitting right here in the middle and I see both sides. It's just a difficult situation. However, I think there's a good solid plan in place. Most of all the furniture is being reused. A lot of it's minimal work, but there's expensive work. With that, is there any other questions or discussion?
So when we were talking about this initially, we talked about, putting in walls, adjusting the toilets, just things like that were really not that expensive. I'm just wondering exactly where this new number comes from, because this is substantially higher than what we were sold. And is it just the playground? I know you've mentioned the playground, but
I'll defer to your team, Dr. Ryan.
You're just going to read this slide again?
Right. What page is that, on 114?
Mine's not numbered. I will say, Mr. Martinez, when I was touring that building, some of the toilets are low, and the response was they're just going to have to squat a little more.
Yeah,
the toilets are staying.
So the same thing with the playground. Can the playground just not be continue used? Do we have to build or relocate that playground?
So there are a few technicalities. For one, the Peter E. Highland campus, the primary campus will be for high school students, secondary students. The playground that we're talking about relocating was close to $100,000, was provided for the child care center at the current Peter E. Highland location. It was grant funds, and therefore it has to be replicated and or replaced and relocated per the grant. The other projects that we're talking about were the compartmentalization of the early childhood center. For example, all high school students will come in one end of the building, which will have a secure vestibule. The children will come into, the children under 4 years of age will come into a different entrance that currently does not have a security vestibule, and we've established a standard district-wide for security for all of our campuses. So we would not allow parents or anyone else, to come into a building where they're not greeted by a reception desk and by the vestibule safety matter. So that was something that I did not have the information for on the original, because you might have thought they could all come into one entrance, but that's not the case because of the classification of the students. The other example given was the child care. We thought inside this elementary campus, Lamar Elementary, it would have early childhood features. One of the good examples of a required by law increase was for 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, the sinks in the room were adequate. But for under 4 years of age, instead of having one lavatory, you're required to have 2 lavatories. That's just one example of how technicalities got us caught up in making the building legal to pass national standards for childcare, for daycare. So those are just a couple examples. Obviously, the re-signing and the repurposing, the marquee and things of that nature. The good news is that Lamar had not received a brand new marquee, as most of the schools across the district had. We did not know if that was going to be a campus or one of the other campuses would be a consolidated campus, but there were only about a handful of campuses that did not already receive new marquees. So in essence, the money that we'll be spending on marquees was just deferred from earlier in the 2019 bond project. So I wanted to cover all the bases here. Early childhood required some sink modifications beyond. The restrooms did have, the classrooms, most of which had restrooms in them, which is also a national child care requirement. But the virtual academy was also a consideration to be relocated here. We didn't know for sure if it would follow here, but that is a little bit unique in that those students are in virtual instruction for a reason. They don't fit mainstream or for some other reason. So, but we do require them to come into the campuses for assessment and things of that nature. So the teachers that are their virtual teachers can do the assessments face to face. In that scenario, we are providing classrooms for instruction, for pre-assessment and things of that nature for those students to come into the building on a separate floor on the second story in particular in this case. So those rooms have been modified from fourth grade level to secondary level and beyond to accommodate the virtual academy. We also anticipate, and these are some of the things I was talking about I did not have when we originally presented to you with this. One of the strategies of increasing the child care capacity is a teacher incentive, a teacher retention incentive that we've talked about as a board. We're trying to make now not only students whose children qualify to attend the Peter E. Highland Child Care, but opening up to all teachers who have children of that age level as a retention and an incentive to those teachers. So that doubled the capacity of the child care just by opening up to our staff members. The virtual academy, we currently serve about 100 students. We anticipate through promise of this legislative session even that the virtual academies could be expanded across the state of Texas, and in particular, we could go from having 100 students to having 200 to 250. Again, they don't come to a classroom, 5 days a week, but they may be coming to a classroom 2 days a week. So we'll need the capacity to have those students housed in the upper floor above the child care. So when I said we didn't give you all the information is because it's been in the developmental process since the very first time we mentioned it to you about the rotation, because we didn't want to leave a building open, because if we had consolidated Lamar and left Lamar's campus a vacant building, the Texas Education Agency has the authority to come in and take that campus and make it available to other educational programs across the state of Texas. So we saw the good value in utilizing a campus and then maximizing the potential of that campus. The other programs I talked about, the Texas Workforce Commission, I've not been working with our local Workforce Commission. I've been working with the president of the entire state of Texas Workforce Commission to have a satellite office teaching students employable skills like handshaking, eye contact, resume writing, application, and things of that nature. We'll have someone from the Texas workforce stationed on that Peter E. Highland campus. The other side is the Houston Food Bank. Dr. Price had been working diligently with them to get a standalone freezer, and the original location was proposed to be in Memorial Field at Robert E. Lee campus, so people driving on Market with a combination could go into the freezer and get food. The idea is to put it at the Peter E. Highland campus within the center, having both a freezer and a dry goods commissary. So you are absolutely right, and then I did not have all of that information, but we've had multiple strategic meetings about how we can maximize the use of the taxpayers' dollars with this building, because we did double the square footage, or more than double the square footage of the former vision or version of Peter E. Highland campus. I'm sorry for rambling, but it's sort of, I want you to have an idea that we didn't just snap our fingers and say we need more money. We actually grew the program through enhancing what we're offering to the community. We'll also potentially offer English classes and Spanish classes on this particular campus to serve that immediate community around it and anyone across our community.
So basically, we had a miscommunication, and what we have now is a multi-purpose building.
Yes, sir.
And campus. So what we need to do when we got a situation like this, we need to make sure that we have communication going between us whenever there's something changing as far as where we are right now with the building and the finances and everything.
Yes, sir.
Instead of saying we're gonna just, repurpose the building to be the other building, but we seem like we've added more to the building.
Agreed.
And so it's understood, you know, we know it's.
Communicate more and more frequently and sooner. This all has occurred over the last 3 months, probably the development of this.
Like I said, the basic thing, like I always say, is communicate. So we'll know, the board will know, and you'll know our feelings, and whatever it may be, whether we like it or not, we've already got to that point now. You know, we can't reverse it.
Yes, sir.
So
I wanted to share that Ms. Garcia would be here tonight, but she's could not be here this week.
Yeah.
So
well, and like I said,
she would have done a better job than me.
Yeah, with
explaining all
Brenda
this.
and you and whoever else, it's you know. But now we have the information. We know what's going on. So now we can't, you know, we can't say, oh, you know, let's take out this, let's take out that.
I believe that the board, as well as the general public, would be proud to take a tour of this building once this work is done. And the hope is to have this work done in the next 60 days.
Yeah, and it's not going to go over budget now.
No, sir, there is no over.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No over
No, sir.
budget. You know, so let's move on to.
I got one last thing.
Yes, sir.
In retrospect, and I'm going to address this to you, Randy, because
Yes, sir.
I try to tell you, when you were sitting right next to me, that this was not going to fly very well. And it's in my district. And I told the whole board, you know, when you engage on taking on a task like this, we should have, in retrospect, we should have never, we should have left Lamar alone. That's what all those people were here engaging with us and trying to tell us. Hey, don't mess with Lamar. Leave it alone. And, you know, I think that we didn't listen. And now we're going to pay the price for not listening. And, you know, here's my other thing. We passed this, you know, y'all passed this bond before we were here because the bond we had didn't pass. And I hate to bring this up because I know it's a sore subject to some of you that are here. But, you know, in order for the community and taxpayers to trust us with the money that they're allowing us and honoring us to invest for the kids, we have to use it appropriately. When you take on a task the magnitude of that size at Lamar, and look what happened, you don't take on a task without the information first. You don't. You just don't do it. You don't build it and say, okay, hope they'll come. Now we got a food bank there. We're in the business of academics. And, you know, our kids, when the community sees that our grades are going down amongst our students and our kids here, yet we're involving ourselves in creating food banks and, you know, all these other things that I get it.
I respect
but I just
that.
want, you know, I want them to trust us, you know, because even me, when I go out there, they're gonna go, it's the board. They're allowing this to happen. It ain't, I mean, even though I fought against it, I'm included in that.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, I want them to trust us when they allow us to serve in this capacity. But when things like this happen, after destroying Lamar and all the community and everything that was built over the years there, you know, it's very, very discouraging, for lack of better words.
Yes, sir. I respect that 100%. I really do. I hate to hear that, though, in a vacuum of tonight, because this happened over a period of time. In speaking to our taxpayers, we had 3 campuses that will hold 800 plus students, and they had less than 500. They had 420, 440, 450 students. So the message to the taxpayer is we're not going to operate buildings at half capacity. And that was when we were in the course of understanding and realizing that our state legislators have not fully funded public education. And we've had to make budget cuts to the tune of $10 million a year for the last 3 years. And we're making tough decisions, absolutely. And in the case that you're speaking of, very sentimental, very connected to our community. I'm the one that had to go and face those teachers and talk to them about the demise of that campus as it currently was. But now we'll have a building that's operating at 90 to 95% capacity through these programs. And the other campuses that Lamar Elementary dispersed to will also be operating at 80 to 85% capacity. So we can't talk about things in a vacuum without considering the picture whole. We've been a budget reduction for at least 3 consecutive years as a result of inadequate funding by our legislators. So it would be easy to just accept the blame for everything, and I'm happy to do that in most cases, but what we're talking about tonight does not come near encapsulating everything that this board has been through, the administrative team has been through, and our teachers and faculty have been through for the last 3 years. This was, in my opinion, a best case scenario where we're using our facilities at a maximum rate to serve the community better. And speaking of what's on the board there, it says developing the whole child. So I do take it beyond just academics, sir, but our academics are not going down. They vary between campus to campus each year, but we holistically are improving everything we do for this district. So I'm not saying that to be argumentative. I respectfully want to put things in a broader picture than just what the decision we're making tonight on this $4 million.
Right. And like I said, I'm not arguing. I'm just
yes, sir.
Conversing with you about it. You know, why,
I agree. Yes, sir.
Why didn't they pass the bond? Why don't they trust us with money?
Well, I think anyone who participates in any committee like the GC 2035 committee, every single person on that committee got to see it up close and personal. The people who don't trust choose not to understand, choose not to dig in, choose not to go to our website, choose not to meet with anyone on this team or any one of you to get more information.
The other thing is, though, Randy, we can't blame it on the legislators that they haven't given us money.
We can.
I mean, they sure they cut back some, you know, and we're all for funding public education. But, you know, we have to live within our means, too. You know, we're at a time, again, I know, you know, a lot of people in the public say, well, you know, they're using our money because they think they got an open checkbook to write and do and spend the way they want to. This is what they're saying out there.
We've cut our budget to beyond 2019 budget years. So there can't be a living beyond our means. We're operating on less now than we did 6 years ago.
I got you.
All right. Dr. O'Brien, Mr. Renteria, and Mr. Sampson, thank you very much for the robust conversation on that. It was respectful, and I think we all learned a lot. With that being said, there is not a motion on the table. Dr. O'Brien, would you read number 6A9, please?
Yes, sir. Administration still brings before the board number 9, job order contracting, or the JOC, as the delivery method to delegate authority to the superintendent or designee to negotiate and to approve the contracts and subsequent amendments for projects to be funded by the 2019 bond remaining funds as presented.
At this time, the chair will entertain a motion on this
I'll
item.
move to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Guy.
A second.
I'm sorry, I heard Mr. Clem first. I have a motion by Mrs. Guy and a second by Mr. Clem. Do we have any further discussion on this item or comments?
You know, it's hard for me to keep my big mouth closed. Did not the CBOC, the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, approve this remaining funds to be spent on capital improvements?
Yes.
Did they specifically approve it for these two things, or did they specifically approve it to be used at the discretion of the superintendent?
Correct, the latter.
So a rather large committee of tax-paying citizens have approved this expenditure.
The board.
That is correct, and there was one notation, as Mr. Renteria pointed out, that they would like for the board to oversee the funding of this project, and they do so in general by authorizing the superintendent.
Right, thank you.
Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll be voting against this simply on the fact that we didn't have the right information, you know. I don't think, Ricky, you have a big mouth because you spoke your piece. I think that we all should be able to speak our piece about what our thoughts are about using taxpayer money and whether it's for or against any projects like this. But,
yes, sir.
Mr. Renteria, I appreciate that comment very much so. I think this board is demonstrating that we can have honest, fair dialogue with different opinions, so I do appreciate that. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, show raise of hands. Any opposed? I have 6 for, 1 against. Motion carries.
The next item up, Mr. President, is consideration and approval of the 25-26 compensation package.
I see Ms. Clark moving forward already. Would we like to start with a motion on this item before?
She's had time to think.
I move to approve option 1 as written.
Mr. Clem has moved to approve option 1 as written. Do I have a second? I have a second by, I'm sorry, Ms. Brott-Timms. Now we'll begin discussion.
May I make a comment here real quick?
Absolutely.
So just to kind of put a bow on this and give better clarification. So tonight, if you adopt option 1, which is the 2%, we will publish it in the paper as our official budget, with our total budget adoption as that $3.7 million deficit with the 2% incorporated. We will publish it in the paper because it's timely to do it now. Then we will adopt the total budget on the 19th as planned with the 2% only GPI. Even if the House bill passes between now and then immediately after we adopt the budget, which has been properly posted, we will amend the budget. So it has board action associated with it. We will amend the budget that night after the budget is adopted to include the delta for House Bill 2 passing. I just sent an email to Moak and Casey, and they expect for the signing of the bill to happen within the next week. I think they're going to have a signing ceremony, my understanding, is what they shared with me, in Buckley's area in Salado. So in the next week, we expect to see that. So when we come back, everything will be cleared up and properly approved with board action. That way we can also send out communication because we have board action on House Bill 2. So just wanted to clarify that and kind of give you some more details.
And while we're on the discussion portion of this, I want to just clarify my comments. My comments in relation to the legislators, I'm very grateful that this moved forward and is passed. And I don't want to short sight that. We need to be grateful for the actions that they do take to help public schools. My reference was merely probably the last 6 years being in suspense to come to this moment in time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And Ms. Clark, thank you to you and your team. I know you don't do it alone. You're the face of our finance department, but you have a team behind you helping you. And I want to recognize all the work that they're doing to get here. This legislative session has been a roller coaster, to say the least.
Yes.
I watch and monitor it every day in the background at work, and it's been a roller coaster every day.
I couldn't do it without them. So, yeah.
Right. So thank you for that.
Thank you for recognizing them.
Any further discussion?
$1,000 raises, you know, if that's what it comes out to. So, you know, hopefully it'll work out for the best.
There are some positives in it. We just have to look for them all. Very much so. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor by show of hands. The decision's unanimous and it passes. Moving on to item.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Thank you. Item C, future board agenda items, board training and board meetings. Anything for future board?
Just a reminder, Ms. Garcia has probably gotten out your notification for the Summer Leadership Institute, June 12th through 14th. And then we do have a few items scheduled for future board meetings. I'm trying to recall them off the top of my head from our executive council meeting this morning. We have a report coming from STAR end of course in July, or is that August? July. Ms. David, do you remember what other programs are for future board meetings?
Yes, ABM update.
That is our energy efficiency company contracted that will be giving an update on the year in review for savings. Is that June or July?
That is, well, we're hoping June.
Okay.
ABM would like to be in attendance, and so Dr. Price is
Coordinating that.
And then also a benefits update.
Ms. Ellen Akers. Okay, Dr. Akers. So those are the future board meetings. I just want everyone to be aware of the topics that'll be forthcoming. Any others that the board would request beyond what we've shared?
Maybe request something in the future that we can look at as it applies to agenda and board meeting nights, as we can review our agenda, but also if we have additional questions, maybe we can have like an outline that, oh, how do we go about getting those questions answered before the board meetings? So, you know, with some of the discussion that happens, that it's in the agenda, but maybe it's not discussed enough. So I may not be referencing that right, but.
I think I could comment on that, Ms. Brattims, a little bit. If the agenda comes out and you send an email to Ms. Noemi Garcia and Dr. O'Brien, then their responsibility is to reply with the answer to the entire board. Am I correct in that understanding?
That is correct.
So any board member that questions something officially to Ms. Garcia, that response should come back to the board whole.
Yeah, and that would help in our meeting nights if that would be a procedure that we may follow.
Right.
Thank you.
I don't think it can go to the whole.
If it's one-way communication, it's not.
I got you.
I think
because she's going this way, then come back.
I think an example would be for clarification on an agenda item. What does this entail? Like, for instance, I'll just kick the dead horse. What does the 2.8 million entail? Then they can come back and answer to the whole board. However, it's up to us not to make any response to that. We can receive that information, but we cannot comment on that information.
Yeah. There's a fine line on that Texas Open Meetings Act is why.
Yes, sir.
Right.
My goal is to answer your questions before you have them on the weekly updates, but there are occasions when the board agenda comes out and you have questions. And I agree with you, Mr. Campisi, just let Ms. Garcia know, and we just, between the executive council and myself, we'll get an answer.
I think that's just a practice that we don't do so much in Goose Creek. A lot of other boards do. When there is questions for clarification on an agenda item, it's up to the board, secretary to the board to gather that information, add it to the board packet, and advise the board without discussion.
Correct.
All right. A reminder, though, that the June 16th meeting from Monday has been moved to Thursday, June 19th, correct? I just want to make sure everyone knows that. I will send out reminders via text. Ms. Garcia, I had asked you to put that on our calendars for those of us that wish to use calendars. We're going to start doing that moving forward as well. Prior to going into closed session, I want to also make a note for the public that may or may not have been here at the beginning of the meeting, that item 8 and item 9, which is the naming of the facilities, has been pulled from the agenda for consideration at a future meeting. I don't want you to stay here waiting for the outcome of that. If that's what you're here for tonight, that'll be addressed at a future meeting. All right, with that, we're going to recess into close.
Well, the July meeting's going to be on the 14th, not the 7th?
And there's just one meeting in July.
Yeah, and then preparing for the naming in the future. If I choose the wrong word, I apologize, but can we get a list of all auxiliary and or ancillary buildings that don't have names on them?
Yes, sir. We can provide that.
And by don't have a name, I mean like a person, place, or thing name. I mean, I know we've named everything Goose Creek, this, that, or the other, but if they've not been named after a person or a thing. And then on the two in question, the field house and the PD building, can we open that up for further nominations and request that current nominations be beefed up a little bit?
Okay.
Because we got some things tonight, just in public comment, that strengthened some of those that we didn't have in our notebook.
All right.
Ms. David, you will prepare another window for submission and acceptance of those proposals, and we'll provide that timeline to the Board of Trustees. Typically, it's a 2-week period, or? Correct. And then, so theoretically, it could occur between now and July 14th. And so it could be presented to you then, or we could postpone it to an August date. It's your preference.
Did you say a 2-week period?
That's the window
normally. Is that a policy or it's a practice? That just seems like a short window for a building that may have a name on it for 60 or more years. Just my opinion.
I think it's based, Ms. David, please. You post it, you get a lot of feedback immediately, then nothing happens thereafter.
Right. All right, thank you very much. The board will now recess into closed session pursuant to one or more of the following sections of the Texas Government Code, sections 551.071, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 082, 083, 084, 087, and 089. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. The time now is 9:03. Now reconvene into open session. The time is now 10:30. No action was taken while the board was in closed session. We'll move on to F, consideration of personnel. Dr. O'Brien?
Yes, administration brings to the board this evening a request to approve the elections and accept the resignations and retirements as presented.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Guy, a second by Mr. Martinez. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, show of hands. 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
Next, we have for administrative positions, Principal of Stephen F. Austin Elementary, Heather Alarcon.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem, a second by Mr. Martinez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, show of hands. 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
And for the new principal of Alamo Elementary, Salinas Rivera Baez, preferred to go by Ms. Rivera.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Helen Brought Timms,
I'll second.
a second by Mrs. Guy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
Administration brings before the board some positions of assistant principal. We have Stephen Bingham for assistant principal at E.F. Green Jr.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Ms. Brought Timms. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, show of hands. And hit the microphone if you wish. That's 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
We have Ayari San Luis. She goes by Yaya as assistant principal at San Jacinto Elementary.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mrs. Guy. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor by show of hands. 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
Administration brings before the board positions of academic dean. Recommended first for Goose Creek Memorial is Tanara or Tori Bernard.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Brought Timms, a second by Mr. Clem. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, show of hands. 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
And for academic dean at Impact Early College High School, Melissa May.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Ms. Brought Timms. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, show of hands. 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
Administration brings before the board for a position of counselor at Alamo Elementary, Jacqueline Bombach.
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Guy
Second.
and a second by Mr. Clem. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, show of hands. I have 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
Counselor at Crockett Elementary, Herbe Alanese.
I have a motion by Mr. Renteria.
I'll second.
And a second by Mrs. Guy. Any discussion? She was. I'm waiting for Jess to jump back in. All in favor, show of hands. 7-4, 0 against, motion carries.
And counselor at Clark Elementary, Michelle Schramm.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Martinez and a second by Mr. Renteria. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, show of hands. It's 7-4, 0 against, the motion carries.
We have educational diagnostician being presented by administration, Amy Estes.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Martinez and a second by Mr. Renteria. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none. Show of hands. All approve. Mr. Renteria, Ms. Bratins, was that approved?
Yes.
I didn't look over there quick enough. At 7-4, 0 against, Motion carries.
Student Support Administrator, split between Travis and Highlands, Latoya Landry.
Move to approve.
Oh, I'm going to give the title to Mr. Martinez and a second by Mr. Clem. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, show of hands. 7 for, 0 against, motion carries.
For position of Student Wellness Interventionist at Gentry, Billy Garcia.
I have a motion by Mr. Renteria and a second by Mrs. Barat-Timms. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. 7 for, 0 against, motion carries. Are any of our new employees still in attendance tonight? This is your chance to stand out and be. Oh, we have more?
We have more. Another student wellness interventionist at Baytown Junior, Tina Holloway.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mrs. Guy. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, show of hands. 7 for, 0 against.
One more,
carries.
student wellness interventionist at Horace Mann Jr., Patricia Feiss.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Renteria and a second by Mr. Martinez. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, show of hands. 7 for, 0 against, motion carries. Now, is that the last one?
That's all recommended for approval.
Are any of our new employees still in attendance?
Okay, so we have action item number 7, consider and take possible action to propose mid-contract termination of term contract employee, Demetrius Haynes.
Okay, I move to propose the mid-contract termination of the term contract of Demetrius Haynes for good cause and to authorize the superintendent or his designee to notify Mrs. Haynes of this action.
I second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mr. Renteria. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor? 7 for, 0 against, motion carries.
And postponing numbers 8 and number 9 to a future board meeting, we go to number 10, discussion and possible action to approve foreign trade zone, tax equivalency, and contribution agreement with Duegro USA, Inc., and pursuant to such agreement, authorize the superintendent to issue letter of non-opposition to U.S. Foreign Trade Board.
What is the pleasure of the board?
I move to approve the agreement.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem and a second by Mrs. Guy. Any discussion?
Yeah, I like the way Randy pronounced
Duegro.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, or show of hands. The 7 for, 0 against, motion carries.
I'll leave number 11 up to you, Mr. President.
With that, we will stand in adjournment at 10:37.
Yay. It's not midnight.
Close enough.
It's been a long time since we've had a midnight.
Do you want to have a quick conference?
Yeah.
Go upstairs?
Yeah.
No more recognitions.